this way?
Oh yeah, so it doesn't really matter
Uh-huh.
how you go, but like okay, so it's like bottom shelf to top shelf.
Yep.
Not necessarily in terms of like I think that flavor can be okay, I don't want to like ruffle any feathers. I think that taste can be largely subjective, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like especially with whiskey, like yeah, like you can have a more complex whiskey and you can't argue with the fact that it's more complex because I think it's objectively more complex,
There's more
but
going on.
but you might not like that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know. But so you might like this one more than you like the you know the best top shelf one or whatever.
Right.
But so mellow corn is a corn whiskey, which basically has a majority of corn in the mash bill, and this is kind of an uncommon category of whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, I think this mash bill is 100% corn. I don't think there's anything but corn in here.
Are we
Um,
on? I just turned. Oh, we're on. This was cool. Oh, this is cool.
are we
Oh, we're on.
recording right now?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Um, so that I think that one might be 100% corn in the mash bill. So that's the grains that they actually ferment to make your beer that
Okay.
they then distill into whiskey. It will into the white spirit that then becomes whiskey after it's aged in a barrel.
Yep.
Uh, Nelson's is Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey is like for all like intensive purposes is basically bourbon made in Tennessee. But what makes Tennessee whiskey special is that almost all Tennessee whiskey goes through a process called chill filtering
Uh-huh.
um, and charcoal filtering, which a lot of whiskey enthusiasts like aren't a huge fan of. Because it strips some of those meteor oils out of the whiskey
Okay.
that like if you're really into like tasting whatever, it's kind of like why would you do that? But like you know, you think like depression era um like
Like
good whiskey. Yeah, yeah,
moonshine adjacent type
exactly. And it's like
type
good
distilling.
whiskey is smooth whiskey. You know,
Uh-huh.
like back in the day, it's like if it goes down smooth, then it's good, you know,
Uh-huh.
as opposed to like harsh, crazy moonshine, like sharpness,
Uh-huh.
you know. So that's like a tradition that's lasted with Tennessee whiskey. So Nelson's is just like a standard old Tennessee whiskey. And then this Ezra, that's rye. Um, Should I go fully on this? Okay, sweet. So, what's interesting about most ryes these days is that there's actually not a lot of independent distillers distilling rye whiskey. A lot of the rye whiskey that we get off the shelf from like Bullet, like uh, one-offs, like
Like Woodford's
yeah,
Woodford does a
Woodford's
rye,
rye.
right?
They may distill their own, but
And
I
Jefferson's
don't
has a
know.
rye as
Yeah,
well,
yeah. A
right?
lot of these like one-off ryes
Okay.
that these manufacturers are putting out there
Yeah.
are not distilled by the manufacturer.
Oh.
They're actually sourced from a large company called MGP, Midwest Grain Products. And Midwest Grain Products, this is not to put them down at all. Like they make really good stuff, and they offer the customer all these different like um, aging characteristics, like you know, different ages, different um, flavor profiles, different like levels of barrel char, different, you know, like whatever. So the customer can special order
Sort of
exactly what
customize
they
their
want.
flavor profile,
Yeah,
and then MGP will put it in
in a
sort
barrel,
of their
and then they'll age it, and then they'll send the
custom
customer a
barrel.
barrel, and then
Okay.
that customer can hang on to the barrel at their own distillery and let it age there. They can pour it out as soon as they get it, you know, like whatever. But I believe that that old Ezra is a MGP product.
Okay.
Um,
Does that translate to different rye whiskeys being at all sorts of different price points, more or less due to the pre-existing prestige of whatever label is on the
Oh,
bottle?
totally. Yeah, totally. Because
Interesting.
MGP is gonna, I mean, it might have to do with age. Like obviously you've got a lot of capital tied up in whiskey just sitting on a rack, on a
Sure.
rick is what they call them.
On Rick?
Yeah,
Okay.
in a rick house.
Okay.
Um, and like every year that it has to sit there, not only are you like not able to capitalize on it, but you're actually losing quantity in the barrel because it's literally alcohol and alcohol evaporates. You pour alcohol on your like wound or like on something you're trying to clean or whatever, and it like just disappears.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens, and that's what they call the angel share.
The angel
So
share.
that so
No
like
way.
you put whiskey in a barrel, you come back years later, you open it up, and a third of it is gone. Well, that's the angel share. That's what they call it. Yeah.
Is that why whiskey exposed to air will taste so weird the next morning?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. So,
Okay.
because you're basically drinking like the water, the like tannins,
Mm-hmm.
and like everything that's suspended in the alcohol is like what's left, and you have less alcohol. So you're
Right.
basically just like drinking wood water.
Right.
Like
Mm-hmm.
if you let it sit out, and it'll get like real hazy looking,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
Yep.
that's what happens.
Okay. And that's the
Um,
alcohol just evaporating.
yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So that happens in the barrel, and like that's what drives up the price of like older whiskey, it's there's less of it and it takes longer, and every year that you wait, is a year you're not getting paid. Um, which kind of makes me support this theory that like whiskey is kind of the reverse of beer in terms of like craft product. So like when you get beer from a craft brewery, you're often getting like a higher quality product, like something that like has been made in a smaller quantity is typically better with beer. Like, the brewmaster has more control over what he's doing, and like, it's more of an art,
Sure.
versus like the huge quantity beers. Like, whenever like one of these Colorado craft brewers gets bought out by, Miller or like whatever, they tend to like tank in quality because their quantity's going up.
Okay.
Um, whiskey, I think, is often the opposite. Usually the biggest conglomerates producing whiskey on like the biggest scale, can produce the most consistently good whiskey.
Oh.
Consistently good. Not necessarily like all-time best,
Mm-hmm.
but like because they're distilling so many gallons of um, product, like way more than like like it might take all of a craft distiller's yearly budget to like make 10 barrels. They might have tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars tied up in just a few barrels,
Whoa.
because that's a lot of work. It costs a lot to own a still. It costs a lot to run a still. It costs a lot to buy all the grains, and then after you make this giant mash, only some of that actually becomes the clear spirit that goes into the barrel. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and so
I mean, there have been two distilleries attempted here in Lander, and I think both of them have just closed up and
yeah, it's
blown
hard.
away with
It's
the wind,
really
right?
hard, and especially with aged spirits, it's really
Mm.
difficult because not only do you have to go through this whole process of distilling this product and everything, and like running the still and making your cuts and like whatever. But then you have to take that spirit and stick it in a barrel for years. And like there are some really good young whiskeys, but typically like whiskey under 3 years, like you can just tell that it's a young whiskey. Um, like some people really like that profile, but like it's very sweet. And then like if you were to describe um the taste in like a way that's maybe not taste like if you can imagine it as like a sound or something like that, like the taste is like very sharp, like
Hmm.
you know what I mean? It's like very peaky,
Wakes you up.
like kind of like I don't know, squeaky. You know what I mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
does that make
Uh-huh.
sense? Like
I think so.
it's got like these like sharp notes in it that haven't been mellowed down by the aging process. Um, and typically an older whiskey is going to have more of a like rounded profile that's like maybe like a lower tone, you know what I
Mm,
mean?
hmm.
Like it's all the high spots have been kind of like scrubbed out, you
Sanded
know?
down a bit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Would you describe it as older whiskeys has a more homogeneous taste?
No,
Like, okay.
yeah, because like actually older whiskey can tend to be more complex,
Okay.
but like it's that the flavors fit together seamlessly.
Ah,
That's, I think, maybe the way to put it.
okay.
So like a younger whiskey is going to be more uniform, like less complex, in like the profiles that you experience. But like basically, when you take a sip of whiskey, you go on a journey. Like there's different tastes that evolve over the course of taking that sip. And sometimes even, well, often like the best part of the whiskey is actually before it even hits your mouth. Like when you get the nose on it, because then you can like just really enjoy what and then also like that
Mm.
informs your taste, right? Like
Right.
if you don't if you're eating a food that you don't like to eat, then you just pinch your nose and eat it, right? And you
Yeah.
don't taste it as much, right? Um, so anyways, to get back on my soapbox or whatever, I think that mass produced whiskey can be is honestly probably like the safest bet if you're like going to buy like whiskey at the store or like whatever. People get, I don't know how many people get gifted like cool looking whiskey, like in a like cool looking bottle, and it's from a craft distiller and costs a whole bunch of money and stuff. And like, fathers getting them for Father's Day and like whatever and stuff. Um, and they would have like if you're just strictly going off of like the taste and like the actual like tasting experience of the whiskey, you'd probably be better off like just with some regular old mass produced whiskey, like
Yep. Maker's Mark, Grandpa.
exactly.
Maker's Mark.
Yeah.
Like,
And there's really, and then within these manufacturers that have, a huge uh, output, like they do have special versions of their whiskey that can also be more consistently good. Like, if you get the Maker's 46, which is like the extra oak in the barrel, like they put these slats in the barrel to age it more. Um, you know, that's like a special version of Maker's Mark that like they can also consistently produce well, or like so what is different is that like a barrel or a single barrel whiskey, like even from a large manufacturer, single barrel whiskeys are going to taste different from barrel to barrel. That's why there's people who chase different barrels of whiskey. Like guys will pay like huge money for the best single barrel, like which is this barrel number 419 from batch number 7-269 from 2018. Like, and like there's a huge secondary market for that. But
and that barrel is in continuous use.
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no.
One barrel.
So yeah,
One
that's the
barrel
crazy.
is one barrel.
That's the crazy thing about bourbon is that and the definition of bourbon involves it being aged in new charred oak barrels. So you cannot reuse a bourbon barrel to make more bourbon,
Hmm.
which is why most scotch is aged in ex bourbon barrels
Ah, okay.
because they can get them for pretty cheap.
Oh.
So,
Bunch of cheap Scotsmen.
so
Just,
they're already used. So,
just float them across the Atlantic. Just, oh my gosh.
so um,
Interesting. So it's not as if barrels have a maturing process themselves, at least on the bourbon side of
Well,
things.
they can be, so there's different levels of char.
Hmm.
Basically what they do, they take this giant torch
Yeah.
and they like just torch the crap out of the inside of a new barrel. Um and they can do different levels. There's like numbers associated with the level of char. And so like
Like how deep that
that's part
char
of that
is in the
formula.
stave of the barrel. Is that,
Yeah,
am I thinking
exactly.
of it
How deep it
correctly?
penetrates the stave of the barrel.
Hmm.
Exactly. Like how thickly that char is.
Yeah.
Um, uh, so okay, you got to think about it like this too. Like if a craft distiller, if they don't do any little step of that process exactly right, then they're going to end up with an off barrel,
Hmm.
right? And if they get one that's just, and also like you can do everything right and then just have it like have a weird couple of years where like the fluctuations from like cold to hot overnight and seasonally affect the taste of the barrel, like cause it to age slower, faster, like whatever. Um, you can have all sorts of different things happen. And if that
Is this
micro,
why both wine and hard liquors, sorry, not hard liquors, wine and whiskey are done in generally more temperate climates? And like
yeah,
if
yeah,
you're,
yeah, no, that's definitely a thing. And
okay.
also,
And
you'll
if you're in
see
Russia,
some.
you got to make vodka because like vodka is less immune, more immune to these
Well, I think that it's
changes
probably
of,
just real cheap and easy for them to make
okay,
vodka, and
okay.
they just
But it's
like
like
that.
it's less susceptible to whatever the weather is doing,
Yeah, yeah.
perhaps.
So like Scotch will typically have higher age statements on it
Mm-hmm.
than bourbon,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like a regular like entry level Scotch, like just middle shelf Scotch, is going to be probably like a 10 or 12 year age Scotch. A 10 or 12 year bourbon, that's pretty old bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Usually like the bourbon that you'd find in like a decent mid tier like middle shelf bourbon is going to be um 7 8 years, 6 7 8. Like for I don't know, Knob Creek put their age statement back on their bottles. They're making 9 year whiskey that's like a little older than most makers. I don't know what they're currently at, but they could be at like 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
um so it's typically less. And then when you get down to like Texas or whatever, there's a lot of Texas distillers that are taking off. One of them, have you ever heard of Balcones whiskey? Um, they've got some really good stuff, but they don't age their stuff for very long because it's so hot in Texas that that wood swells and absorbs the spirit inside of the barrel and squeezes it in and out a lot quicker, because that's basically what happens is like as it gets hot during the day and cools off at night, that wood is sucking in spirit and then squeezing it out. And when it squeezes it out, it ends up coming out with tannins and flavor from the barrel.
Okay.
And so it gets dark and it gets real aged real quick. And if you let it go too long, it can almost be like too bitter to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Let it be overaged.
So it's the wood fibers that have not been charred that are basically doing that expansion and contraction, and then the depth of the charred wood is adding that flavor as the whiskey
Yeah, and the
passes
char
in
is
and
not
out.
actually really the flavor.
Mm-hmm.
The char generally acts more as a mellowing agent,
Mm-hmm.
like how charcoal can like mellow the taste of things.
Sure.
Um, and so like it can affect the smoothness of the whiskey, but like you might think that like char would cause the whiskey to taste all
Burnt or
fiery and like,
something.
and it doesn't really do that.
Hmm.
Doesn't really do that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
Huh.
So
So what should we
anyways,
taste first? What do we got to start with the
yeah,
corn,
me-
yes?
mellow
So
corn.
okay.
This is a cult classic, screw top plastic, like looks like bottom shelf liquor store bottle. It's bottled in bond. So that there's I could go so deep on all this, but
Yeah.
we shouldn't. But bottle and bond means that it's aged for, I think I could be wrong, minimum of a certain amount of time. I think it's 3 years,
Okay.
and bottled at 100 proof. And this came from um, way back, like in the day, where uh, a distiller would have to pay taxes on the whiskey that they distilled. I could be wrong about this. It had something to do with taxes, I believe. So like as soon as it came out of the still and they barreled it, they'd have to pay taxes on it. Well, they worked out a deal with the government where the government would supervise a rick house, and um, that rick house like would be locked up, and then like a government representative would be given the keys to it, and it could be allowed to age in the rick house without having to pay taxes on it. And then like as soon as it was removed, then you would have to pay taxes on
Okay.
it.
Huh.
But they came out with these requirements for bottled and bond, the age statement, and then the proof, 100 proof. It was like always bottled at 100 proof. So there, it still exists today, and it's more of kind of a novelty thing.
Uh-huh.
But what's really cool about it is that you can compare whiskeys on uh, like a level, a similar level, I guess, because you've eliminated variables from whiskey to whiskey, such as the proof of the whiskey, the age of the whiskey, basically those things. So, like, if you get a bottle and bond whiskey,
So the
like
bond specifically refers
it's
to
held in bondage by the government.
oh.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Okay. So that just means it's basically set on Rick. Is that the right word? Like you set it on
It's
Rick,
put in the rick house.
put
Yeah,
in a Rick house.
uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then no one touches it for those 6 or 7 years. Like they just lock it up and
Yep.
leave it.
And then, yeah, when they put more in, the government guy unlocks it for them, and then they let them put barrels in,
Oh,
and then
okay.
yeah. But yeah. So what's cool about bottle and bond is that with all these different variations of whiskey from various manufacturers,
Mm-hmm.
um, you can seek out their bottled and bond offering and
Mm-hmm.
compare it to other manufacturers' bottled and bond offerings, and you're
Ah,
looking at more of a level playing field, like a straight across comparison
Lodge.
between different types of whiskey.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
And typically, like you really can't go wrong with a bottled and bond whiskey. Like this is, it looks like it's a bottom shelf whiskey, it's got the screw cap, whatever. Um, but it's bottle and bond. So there's a like certain level of quality that has to adhere to. Um,
Ah, gotcha.
so
It kind of looks like a cornstarch bottle.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
It's
Corn
awesome.
syrup or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then yeah, and the Nelsons and the Ezra. Oh yeah, and then I didn't even talk about the Weller. The Weller is my favorite of all these here. And it's taken off in recent years as like being kind of a rare, hard to find whiskey because there's a type of whiskey called Pappy Van Winkle. You guys ever heard of Pappy?
I may have.
Pap.
No.
So like you probably heard of like Johnny Walker Blue Label,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, Blue Label, like that's like the best, like supposedly, but like
Was Johnny Walker? That was the ad you showed me that one time.
oh,
Like that one take, that one take. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I should show
So
you that. It's a really
it's
cool
fun.
bottle.
It's fun.
yeah.
Oh. But anyway, so
So yeah, the Weller is made by the same manufacturer that makes Pappy Van Winkle. Pappy Van Winkle is like the most sought after whiskey. Some bottles of Pappy resell for like thousands of dollars.
huh.
And they've got large age statements on some of their whiskey. I think the oldest one is, I mean, I could be off on this. I think it might be like 20 years or something like that. Um, and then they've got, yeah, different age statements on the bottles. Weller starts its life as the same exact whiskey that Pappy is,
Mm.
but they determine whether or not that barrel becomes Pappy by tasting it and saying, oh, this fits the Pappy profile. This one aged right. And then they divide it into like what it ought to be labeled as. Um, so it's the exact same
So there's a
mash.
guy whose job it is to
Yeah.
basically decide sheep or goat with
Yep.
the
Yep.
with the whiskey.
And that's the beauty of having a large distillery
Hmm.
is they can get a real crappy barrel and they just put it under their crappy brand and they sell it versus like if some craft distiller gets a bad barrel,
They got
they're
us.
just going to go, all right, well, we're going to dump that in with the rest and hope nobody notices.
Oh,
You know, they're not going to be like, oh,
because they
yeah,
can't afford it because their cost per ounce, cost per gallon, whatever you want to call it,
yeah,
is just too high for them to be
exactly.
pouring
They got
stuff
too
out.
much into that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Versus like at a larger scale, they've got that all figured out. They've got
Hmm.
all the statistics worked. You know what I mean? And they know on average just how much crappy barrels they can expect to get. And then that means they're going to pump out, I don't know, like what, Kentucky Gentleman
Hmm.
or like whatever that like the real like the gas station special stuff
Oh
is. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
What is
And
it? I had a client one time. They specifically requested, is it black velvet? Is
Mhm.
that a we're like,
Yeah,
hey, like
yeah.
any bottle you want. Like they sold a house with us. So I mean,
Yeah.
obviously thousands of dollars in
They're
commission. So
like,
we
oh
wanted,
yeah, black velvet.
yeah, and they're like, we're like, what do you want us to get? You're like, black velvet. So I walk into the liquor store
Yeah.
and the clerk was laughing at me because I said, oh yeah, I'm getting black velvet, like it's a gift. It's kind of low down on the shelf, so I guess, oh wow, it's only 9.99. Fantastic.
That's awesome.
I'll get two.
That's awesome. But you know, it goes to show taste is subjective, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, and that was the thing. This client didn't want anything else.
Yeah.
In fact, I would dare say, I don't know for a fact, but I dare say that if we had gotten her something higher end, she wouldn't have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
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 Exactly. Yeah,
Hmm.
you know what you want. Like
Right.
if you're telling someone you want black velvet, then
Yeah.
probably want black
I mean,
velvet,
I
you
guess
know.
if you just want that, I had a friend who my mom was complaining about how when you buy like Krispy Kreme donuts, you get that Crisco taste on the top of your mouth, right? It's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
that just, it tastes good at first, but then your just mouth is lined with Crisco. And so this friend of mine said, oh, don't you live for that? And same thing.
Yeah,
It's just, that was the part of the experience that they actually liked
exactly.
was that awful Crisco was lining on the top of your mouth that you probably needed some strong whiskey just to clean it out.
Like those
So
hydrogenated
yeah,
oils.
exactly.
Funny because that's actually, you know what, those laminated sides for countertops,
Uh-huh.
because they just put them in stickers for like your lamination, so you like iron them on the side.
Yeah.
And then like to get a nice edge, what you do is you router them off, but to keep it from burning, you put Crisco on it.
Oh, do
So
you?
you use Crisco as a lubricant for a
For
router
the router?
Yeah.
to make a nice clean cut.
Yeah. It's because it's hydrogenated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
best use.
When I see that, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. All right, so we got corn, the rye, obviously. So then the Weller.
The Weller is a wheated bourbon.
Okay.
Gosh, and that's another. So like bourbon, like typically is made of majority. So at least 51% or higher corn, followed by rye, usually,
Mm-hmm.
and then malted barley
Mm-hmm.
in different proportions in the mash bill, depending on what you're. But a wheated bourbon replaces that rye with wheat,
Okay.
and wheat typically is a little sweeter.
So it's mostly all of these. Is it true to say that all of these are mostly corn, or was the rye
The
primarily corn?
the rye is at least 51% or more rye,
Ah,
and then followed by corn.
okay.
Yep,
Okay.
typically. You can have a rye that's 100% corn. And you can also have a bourbon that's 100% corn, I believe. So like I believe that mellow corn, even though like it's earned the right to call itself a corn whiskey by being a certain percentage corn and like it makes it special compared to most bourbons,
Uh-huh.
I think it actually still falls under the umbrella of bourbon based on that corn requirement.
Ah,
So
okay.
'Cause it's like 51% to be bourbon, right?
yeah, yeah,
51% corn in order to be bourbon.
yep.
And to be bourbon, in addition, it has to be in unused oak barrels,
Yeah, new charred oak barrels.
new charred oak barrels.
Yeah, yeah. And then all these like different little things, like if you look at the label and it says Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, Well, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey comes from Kentucky, and Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey has straight bourbon has an age requirement associated with it, and I think it might be like around 2 years or something.
To be called straight.
Straight. So you
Yep.
can get Kentucky bourbon whiskey, and that's probably going to be young.
Mm-hmm.
You can get Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, and then at least you know it's X years old. You can get, and then Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey means it's 51% corn or more. And then, of course, whiskey's whiskey. So it's made with the grain. But yeah.
But in addition to that, the bourbon, to be called bourbon, it has to be in those barrels. So it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang. Wow. So now I feel like I can read the labels a little better.
Yeah.
Can I see this mellow corn?
Yeah. Go for it. Here, take the.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. Anyways, that's some whiskey there. That's so cool.
Here. Yeah, pass that rye glass here. I want to. Okay, but the proper is it's not just the
Yeah.
proper way to do this is
So this is a
get a little
tasting.
nose going.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you swirl the whiskey in it, what it
Hmm.
does is that uh, whiskey coats the side of the glass,
Hmm.
and then um, as it kind of evaporates, you get a larger dose of that nose.
Ah, okay.
Um, and then the way these glasses work, you can imagine like the smell and the like evaporating fumes or whatever of the whiskey as kind of a vortex in there coming up. The alcohol comes right through the middle. So if you stick your nose just straight in the middle of that glass and try and sniff, you're gonna singe your nostrils.
Right, right. Because it's
So
basically it's rubbing alcohol.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
straight up.
Okay.
Like, and so I actually rest my nose,
On the far
tip of
side.
my nose on the edge of the glass. You're gonna get a much better
Oh my gosh.
Whoa,
That is a remarkable difference. Are
nose
you
into
get
that. Yeah,
so if you just like stick your nose, you're basically
yeah. A lot of
just
people will just
just like
go right
and
for
it's
it,
like,
and it's
oh
like
dang, dude,
boom.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's alcohol.
it's gonna be a lot. Yeah,
Okay, but if you go,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
yeah. The edge
Way
of the
different
glass
scent.
is where you wanna
that's where you
get your
actually.
nose from. Um,
You can
kind of
almost
swirl it.
I can't believe the difference just in that. I mean, that's 3/4 of an inch
Yeah.
from the lip to the middle.
Yeah, and it has to do with the way that all that's directed upwards through the stem of this glass.
that is
Bang.
Isn't that
Who was the
crazy?
first glass blower to figure this out, right?
I don't know.
Now, is there a proper way to hold the, like, are you trying to warm it a little bit in your
Like
hand?
if you swirl and hold it in your hand, like it'll evaporate more. You get more of that nose. Like warm whiskey has more flavor, more smell to it, but like
Yeah.
it can also be kind of gross if it's too warm. So, um, and then when you go for your, it's like you get your nose and like, um, you can well, what's really helpful for like developing a nose, they actually make these like scratch and sniff books of like different smell profiles, and like
Uh-huh.
and so you can actually like build your vocabulary for describing the smells that you're experiencing
Uh-huh.
off of
Uh-huh.
something like that. Here's that Nelson's. Ooh. Um, you guys want to try that? I'm gonna grab
Yeah.
this. Um, but yeah, so when you get your nose, you think about that, think about your the profile that you're getting, and then when you go to take a sip, kind of like let it roll through your mouth and sit there for a little while. I kind of like some people even like go really I'm not like this, but some people will do the bourbon chew, they call it, where you get it in your mouth and you go like this.
Oh man.
Hmm.
You try and coat all those surfaces of your mouth with bourbon that will give you a flavor that because you have different taste buds and stuff, different ways of sensing all of that in different parts of your mouth.
Right. Right.
Um, but I just like to let it roll kind of across my tongue, sit there for a little while.
Yeah.
And then what a lot of people will do wrong when they're drinking whiskey, if you're just getting started, is they'll drink it like it's water. And you end up getting this splash of alcohol up in like your nose, like
Yeah.
um kind of sits in there and you can feel the fumes in your nose and it makes it really unbearable
Oh,
to drink. What I found is that if you roll your tongue and take a sip, almost as if like it's kind of the same motion as if like you took a sip of water when you're laying on your back in
okay.
bed. You know what I mean? And you're
Yeah.
like kind of trying to like drink it down without getting any air in it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense? You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's the way that I like to kind of sip whiskey. And I think that
Let's try
that
the
you get less of that alcohol, like kind of off-putting, fumy effect.
So you're saying when you say they drink it like it's water, it's almost as if they let it hit the back of their throat too fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've definitely done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just
Well, you're just then
becomes,
you're
yeah,
right.
yeah. So kind of becomes unbearable. So you got the nose, you got the palate. Okay. So the palate is like literally how that sits in your mouth when it's in your mouth. And you got the finish, which is how it leaves you. And a lot of whiskey, yeah, whiskey will take you on a journey from the nose through the palate to the finish. And even within those things, things can change, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like the initial nose that you get might not be the second nose that you get or the third, and
Right.
like it kind
Totally.
of
The things
develops.
you
And then
notice.
as it sits in your mouth, you might like, boom, be hit with something really strong, but then be like, whoa, there's something behind it too, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
then on the finish, things develop as that alcohol evaporates in your mouth and is washed out with your saliva. Like it leaves you with something. And and that can be the difference between a really good whiskey and a really bad whiskey. You can have a really good nose, really good palate, and then just a really weird finish
Huh.
and not be cool with that, you
Uh-huh.
know? So,
And will those distillery masters or what
master
distillers,
distillers.
master distillers, I
Yeah.
mean, they might spend a year just trying to figure out why, man, we're hitting 2 out of 2,
Hmm.
but the finish is terrible.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
hey, we're great nose, great finish, but something about the way it sits isn't sitting well with me,
Yeah.
right? So they're basically trying to fine tune that 1, 2, 3 experience.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This is the Wellers, right? I think this is excellent.
The Weller is, we did a blind tasting, Allie and I did, with like all my top shelf stuff a few months ago, and we
Mhm.
like labeled the bottoms and then mixed them all around and like tasted them all. And um I wanted the Weller to be my favorite because
Uh-huh.
I was like, I knew that I really liked it, but sometimes you can really be affected by like, oh, I know it's kind of rare and like it's special and like it's hard to find. And so I want it to be really good, you know? And oftentimes that's eliminated in a blind
Right,
tasting, you
right.
know?
I think the
It,
same thing is true. So I write movie reviews,
yeah,
and I think the same thing can be true with movies. You're like, Scorsese directed, or Nolan would directed, or
yeah,
it's considered so and so's finest performance, and like you want to get yourself to a certain point.
yeah,
But I think part of the art is just saying this is actually my experience
yeah,
of it. Right. And yes, you can have a objective description of the technical skills that go into a movie, of course, but there's a certain level at which you do have to be honest with your experience.
yeah.
But it can be so clouded by, I think, some of the same things around the labels.
Uh-huh. Yep,
Mm.
exactly. But Weller stood out. Was my favorite
Oh,
in the
really?
blind tasting too. And
Oh,
I was
cool.
like, I didn't, and it wasn't like I was like, oh, I know this profile. That's Weller, so I'm gonna choose it as my favorite. It was like, no, this is like the best that I tasted. So yeah,
Mm.
That's
I
good.
really like that stuff.
Very good.
I think the hype is worth it with that one. So
Hmm. Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm actually, I'll take a little
I,
more of that Weller.
uh, um,
Also, we can drink that as much as you want because I just got another bottle.
Oh,
So
oh,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah, I just got another one from Mr. D's. So
Mr. D's.
mhm.
Between D's and One Stop.
I know. D's and One Stop are both great liquor stores. Yeah.
Hmm. Is Cutty Sarka? That's a whiskey, right?
That's a scotch.
Oh, it's a
It's like a
Scot.
blended scotch, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Um,
do remember tasting that and thinking, okay, this is engine cleaner. Like this
yeah.
is
Yeah, that's
this is actually swill.
that's like an old man grandpa scotch. That's like my grandpa was
Oh man. I remember the first time I had it because up until that time I thought, oh, I generally like scotch. And then I had some of that Cutty Sark and I thought to
is yeah,
myself,
yeah.
oh, this is awful.
Yep.
Yeah. Who drinks this stuff? Drunk people. That's who. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I've heard some bourbons are being made. Sorry, maybe I should be saying some whiskeys are being made in steel barrels with just like charred logs being put
Yeah,
inside. Is
so
that a cost cutting thing or is it legit?
there's some experiments that have been going on. I haven't been so up on like the new bourbon world, but
Mm-hmm.
or whiskey world, I guess I would say, because bourbon would have to be in a barrel.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a category of whiskey called American whiskey, which basically is all other whiskeys made in America.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that,
Outside of Tennessee and Kentucky or
or just like that doesn't fit. Like if you could even have a Kentucky made whiskey that checks all of the boxes except for, or all the boxes for bourbon except for new charred oak barrel, and you could not call it a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, and you couldn't even call it a bourbon, so you just call it an American whiskey
hmm.
at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like there's this company, Michter's in California. Have you heard of Michter's before? They've got a whiskey that's checks all the boxes for being a bourbon, but it uses used barrels, used oak barrels, ex bourbon barrels, and they have to call it an American whiskey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just because the first stuff's left that barrel and this stuff is
Yep.
wow.
Yep.
Now I assume that the barrel never completely gives up everything that was in it, right? I mean,
I don't
there
know
must
how
be
many
trace
uses you
amount.
can get out of him. My guess is like probably just a couple,
Hmm.
but yeah.
Okay. And does the oak have to be like, like straight from the tree, or because I think I've heard of people they take old ships apart and they're using the oak
Yeah,
from
you
old
can, I think,
sailing vessels and they're
uh-huh.
making them into barrels and then it's like, oh, aged at sea. No, this is the sea. Right? Like,
Yeah.
maybe it's gimmicky. I don't know, but
Yeah. Yeah,
I've heard of
so
things
well,
like
the
this.
thing about aged at sea is that's like Jefferson's aged at sea.
Yeah.
They put whiskey in barrels and then they stick the barrels on a ship, and the experiment was, oh well, ships like rock and roll around on the ocean. So like as that stuff's like moving and gyrating inside of the barrel, it's gonna have more contact, more exposure with the barrel,
Hmm.
and potentially come out more flavorful or different
Right.
flavor.
Right.
I think it's kind of a gimmick.
Uh-huh.
Jefferson's is pretty gimmicky, but that's my
You
opinion.
got to put something
But
on the label.
yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we just lost them as a sponsor.
Never Jefferson.
Sorry, Jefferson. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Shout out to those others, especially the Weller. Poof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think most bourbon barrels are white oak.
Hmm.
Yeah. And there's and it has to, I think it has to be American oak too. Um
Oh,
yeah. So that's kind of cool.
wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm always surprised at the amount of oversight on some of
Mhm.
these things. Maybe it's the effect of living in a cowboy state where everyone's kind of doing what they want, but yeah, the amount of oversight and control on some of these processes, I think is probably good overall.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, it's kind of fascinating the history behind the tax on bourbon and whiskey.
Yeah, I could be saying that wrong, but I think it had to do with the tax, like, and when that tax applied. But yeah,
Have you heard like what the main revenue source for America was before federal income tax?
was it alcohol taxes? Yeah,
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 primarily whiskey.
huh,
It
yeah,
funded most of the wars through World War II.
really. So that even
Revenues.
even like 19, like even like depression era or not like prohibition era and stuff. Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it still had it quite a bit.
Yeah, I know that there's still quite a bit of whiskey that was being made during Prohibition. You could just basically like you can get your medical marijuana card, like you could get your
Yeah.
medical whiskey card.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. People would be like, I need my drink. So
Mm-hmm.
they'd get prescribed medical whiskey, and that was a whole other racket that was going on back then.
Hear about that guy with the green hat? Hear about him?
No,
He was the private bootlegger for the Congress.
yeah.
He had
I mean,
over
it's
200 clients,
yeah,
and so he would bootleg four members in Congress
People who had voted
again, yeah,
for prohibition.
hmm
to get them their own whiskey.
Right.
And then they tried to bust him, and they said, "Well, I have all of your names. Would you like me to disclose them?"
Mm.
I'm like,
There's
"Oh, we won't bust you."
stuff
Wow.
stuff like that happens
He had
still
his
today.
office he had his own office in one of the government buildings. Like,
Yeah,
The man, what they call him, the man in the green hat. Man.
yeah.
that
There's a
crazy.
few
So he
modern.
was a broker.
Yep.
Well, oh, so that was my question. So, I mean, you're talking about guys who are chasing certain barrels, guys who are chasing certain bottles, like
Yeah.
almost as a sounds sort of a blend between a collector's outlook on something and like a guy who really wants certain experiences, right?
Mhm.
So, are there just whiskey brokers? I mean, guys who are just
Yeah, yeah,
moneyed up to
there's a
go and
lot of
they acquire these high end bottles and then they bring them back to auctions of some
yeah,
kind
yeah,
or
there's unfortunately a lot of uh scalpers or price gouger type people, who like buy everything and then resell them for more.
hmm
Um, so
I want to try scalping
yeah,
once before I'm 50. Just like buy up just get like a last, Taylor's last tour, whatever that's going to be, right? Just
yeah,
buy one, opening night, $1,600 and then try to flip it for 45.
yeah,
I want to try it.
totally.
Uh,
I think there might be some risk associated with that, but
Is there?
I
Yeah.
think you
Maybe you
get
get like
busted for sure.
you can
Yeah.
get locked out of accounts and that sort of thing.
Well, I think
Or
you
you
could
get
get
flagged.
arrested.
Say what?
I think you could get arrested.
Arrested.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. It's breaking the law?
I believe so. Yeah.
Shoot. Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
most of
Retract
these
what I just
tickets
said.
come with like statements that say this sale is final and like everything, so we're
Okay.
like we're the sole party that
Like you by using this site, you're basically agreeing to be an end user,
yeah, exactly.
not a middleman of some kind.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, there goes another
Well, I mean, you can
business
still do it.
another business idea.
Just got to do it carefully though.
Burned. Check your VPN. Yeah. Yeah. Log in from Mexico. Dang. Yeah. So when I was, I don't know, 22, I drove my sister down to college, down to Virginia. And at the time I was living in Massachusetts. So I drive her down to Virginia and we walk into a gas station and I see the cartons of cigarettes and they're $40.
Yeah,
And meanwhile, all my buddies on the construction crews up in
yeah, yeah,
Massachusetts, I mean, they were paying 80.
yeah,
Probably not 90, but I would say a solid 80, 85.
yeah. So you load it up.
Well, I called my dad. I said, Dad, I could make a fortune here. Like I should just like fill up the car
Yeah,
with all these $40 cartons, come back up, sell them for 60.
yeah,
I'm like, Dad, I'm printing money. He said, yes, that's illegal.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Don't do that.
Yeah. If you're
So,
running an operation, but like if you
I
talk,
mean, driving your sister to college today, renting a van from U-Haul tomorrow. I mean, the operation, the money would be so good, you'd just get addicted. You'd have a fleet of vans within a month.
you got to draw the line. Yeah,
That's the thing I wouldn't be able to do. Yeah.
yeah.
Did you know my brother is blacklisted from U-Haul? Did I tell you that
What?
story? Yeah.
Blacklisted.
Yeah.
I feel like you did tell me.
He can never rent from U-Haul again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So my two brothers flew into Denver,
Yeah.
picked up some vending machines, put them on a U-Haul rented trailer,
Yeah.
rented a truck, rented a trailer, and then drove the machines up here and put them in, I think, the hospital and a gas station.
Yeah.
Right. But then the morning they were supposed to drive back, they got up too late and they said, we're never going to get the trailer dropped off, the truck dropped off, and to the airport.
Yeah.
So they said, we're just going to have to leave the trailer
So they just
here.
left it at,
They left the trailer. So then I towed the trailer over to the U-Haul here in Lander,
yeah.
checked it in. Like I talked with the employee. I said, hey, look, this is a bit of a funny case, but this is a U-Haul trailer. It was rented out of Denver. We do want to return it here. We understand there may be a location fee. We're okay with that.
Yeah.
So they said, yeah, yeah, that should be fine. We'll probably just charge you the location fee. No big deal. So they checked it in. But then they called us 2 days later and they said, no, like you rented this trailer from, like, not from U-Haul Central, I guess I'll say. You rented this trailer from a franchise. This is
Mm,
their property.
they own that particular.
They own that particular trailer. You have to get it back there. So I said, all right. So
Is
I
this
called.
when you wrecked your truck?
This is when I wrecked my friend's truck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do you remember? I somehow damaged all four sides of a vehicle going through a two-dimensional fence. Like
It's
it
terrible.
was an act of God. I mean, I was like, I got out of the truck and looked around. I said, how is every side of this four-sided truck damaged? I only went through the fence once, right?
Yeah.
It's not like I backed up and went through the fence a second time.
Oh,
So yeah, so we finally got the trailer to Denver, right, on this truck with like three tires and all, one headlight. And anyway, so I'm creeping along, but I finally get it delivered.
yeah.
But then that franchise complains to U-Haul headquarters and says, like, what was going on with our trailer? Like, it never got checked in on the due date, and then we lose track of it, and then it just manifests itself in our lot 3 days later. I don't know who this Kevin Wrench character is, but we don't want him renting from U-Haul ever again. So then my brother
A
gets an
notice.
email that says you are blacklisted because you basically moved this trailer without a rental itinerary to accompany it. So you basically moved stolen property.
That's not so bad, Simon. Like, yeah,
Yeah, because that was just an honest mistake.
yeah.
Because
That's
you didn't know
unfortunate.
it was a franchise.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I mean, there was no intent of misdoing on our part. It's just that we are now, when he bought his house and moved, he had to go to Penske.
Oh, oh bummer.
So if U-Haul is listening,
We apologize.
yeah,
Yeah, we think you guys are great,
and get
Kevin. Yeah,
Kevin
yeah.
Wrench.
Just like scrub his name off of your blacklist.
Yeah,
So
it was
yeah,
an honest mistake.
it was an honest mistake. Yeah. Oh,
What's happening?
yeah. Oh man, it was a riot. So, what are your shooting goals right now?
Like pew pew.
Like pew pew.
Um, goals.
Yeah, yeah. Are you trying to work on long distance stuff, short distance stuff,
Um,
combinations, speed, accuracy, certain drills?
I'm kind of addicted to that bill drill.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I keep wanting to.
It's a good drill.
Yeah, I want to break 2 seconds on the
Mm-hmm.
bill drill.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it was like 2.4 or something like that, or was it less that I got?
Oh goodness. I don't remember exactly because
But
this was what, six? This is from the holster and it's 6 shots, right?
6 shots,
Yeah.
seven
Yeah.
yards.
Yeah. 2.4
I think
that
it's
sounds right.
2.4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I could do that,
Uh-huh.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that's more of like not really even super practical.
Mm-hmm.
Just I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I went out and did that X-ray alpha drill again.
yeah.
I got everything in under par uh, on there's what? There's six stages to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got under par on four. And
Oh
then
yeah.
I was over by on both of them 0.14 seconds. So one's a 5 second
Which
par.
ones?
Um, oh, good question. I'd have to look it up. I think it was the last one, so where it's the
Yeah,
rifle
yeah,
reload.
yeah, yeah.
I think I came in because that's a
There's like rifle from the or
mm,
oh no, pistol. So starting with the rifle from the high ready,
mm-hmm,
transition to pistol,
and getting those three shots off.
and then I think it was like rifle reload
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
the
yeah,
emergency reload on the rifle. I think those were the two. So yeah, so
yeah.
it's like your rifle high ready. You
Uh-huh.
take the rifle down, come up with the pistols, three shots on each.
Yeah,
And I think I was 0.14 seconds over on that one. And then same thing on the emergency reload on the last stage.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's I would hit my button and the old mag wouldn't drop. So I lost some time
We're
having
using
to
a PMag.
yeah.
Yeah, they're lighter, I think.
Yeah, then those metal sided ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So the PMAG wouldn't drop. So I had
mhm,
to sort of take a half second to flick it out and
yeah,
then put the new one in.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, every week, I mean, sorry, every day, from the time we practice it with Jake over the course of the next week, I just go stand at the edge of my bed and
Oh,
just run the mags in and out.
yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and I could feel the time ticking up. But then, yeah, day of, just stupid PMAG wouldn't drop, and
Mm,
uh, yeah, so I had the timer, and I'm like closing my eyes, and I look, like, damn
yeah.
it. But it's a lot of fun, but obviously it gets spendy
Yeah,
quick.
I know. So that's my situation right now. I I've been running on borrowed time because I've been using my like back stock,
Okay,
but
yep,
I
yep,
haven't
yep.
really been replenishing it.
Okay.
And I've kind of lately I've been like, all right, we need to come up with a plan here because can't just use everything up and
Mm.
not replace it.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, what's your opinion? Do you feel that you could do like 80-20, like 80% dry fire, 20% live and like get to real trackable improvement?
I don't know because I'm not the best at doing dry fire.
Mm,
So like yeah, I really I should be, but I barely have time anyways at home to
yeah.
do anything. And then like, yeah, got kids now, so can't just like stand in the living room, pull a gun out and
Yeah.
start dry firing.
Shoot,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Point
yeah.
guns around. I've been wanting to ask you this. What's been the most surprising part of being a dad?
Hmm. Just how smart these kids are. Like as young as they are,
Yeah.
like they get smart real quick. They learn things and then like David, especially right now, like he knows words that I didn't even know that he knows. And
Mm.
he's less than 2 years old, and you
He's
know
like 20 months.
he is 19 months, I think. And like today we were walking, Allie found a feather on the ground. She handed it to him, and David just said, "Feather." We
Oh,
were like,
wow.
"Wow, where'd you learn that, dude?" Like, it's
Yeah.
not like we're just talking about feathers all the time. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a Cormac McCarthy story where it said, talking about that same thing of how are the kids so smart.
Yeah.
Basically, uh, this old grizzled rancher tells the younger rancher, he's like, "Don't worry about it. It's not that the kids are smarter than you. It's just like wolves. Wolves have only one thing to think about: how do they get to your sheep, right? Kids are the same way. They only have one thing to think about: what it
Yeah,
is that
that's
they want.
fair. Yeah.
You have on a good day, you have a dozen different concerns. On a bad day, you have twice that many. All things competing for your energy, attention, and
Yeah.
care, right? Whereas a kid just has to think about how to get under your skin enough.
Oh yeah. And they figured that out real quick. How to get the pen. That's David's thing. He wants a pen.
He wants a
He
pen.
wants to figure out how to get a pen, and then he'll lock onto that pen and not give it up.
Huh.
But he just really is fascinated with pens.
Hmm.
That's his big
Does
deal.
he want to draw, like write with them, or he just wants to have it in his hand?
Right with him for sure, but then he likes how they have a mechanism and they click and they, it's a powerful thing.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So,
Mm.
yeah.
There's a lot going on probably for a kid
Yeah.
with a pen and like
Oh, he loves pens. Yeah.
I wonder if kids are especially attracted to objects that they see adults
Oh, totally.
giving a giving
Abs
a care for.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's why it scares me to have a gun around.
Mm,
Um, like I just do my best to keep that a secret.
mm.
Um, but yeah, just stuff in general. I don't know, shoes. Oh my goodness, shoes. That's cool. Putting on shoes, taking off shoes. Sees people doing that all the time. And
Uh-huh.
he really wants to put his shoes on.
Okay.
He's like, this is what we do,
Right.
you know?
Right. Let's
So
take them off and put them back on
yeah.
so then we can put them on.
Diapers.
Uh-huh.
Oh gosh, like that's cool as heck, you
Huh.
know?
Uh,
Because this is what dada and mama mess around with is diapers.
right.
So
Oh,
yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah. Because I remember as a teenager being old enough to think, why do the kids not really care about the toys that we're giving them, right? Like you hand them a toy, eh.
Yeah, it's because
But
you
then you hand them your keys,
well
or they
exactly.
get into mom's purse and they get the keys, right?
Yeah.
I'm just so excited.
So I was thinking about this because there's a toy that I guess was intended for Kit, but David has. Um, it's called a taggy,
Uh-huh.
and it was based on the fact that kids love to play with tags, like on clothing and on pillows and on blankets and like whatever. The coolest part is always the tags. They're like feeling them and like it's really unique and interesting. It's like this special part of a thing. Well, this toy called a taggy is like a square and then it has these tags on it, like, but they're like not real like tags. They don't have like writing on them and stuff. They're just like
The little bands of silk or what have you.
like yeah, like a piece of ribbon that's coming off of the end of it. And it was like inspired by the fact that kids love tags. Well, the taggy has to have a tag on it too, like a real tag, because it has to show that it's made of like this fabric and
Right. Safety
comes
tested
from
material.
Bangladesh and like whatever. So you hand David the taggy, the only thing he wants to play with is the real tag.
He
Like he
knows.
doesn't care about the other stuff, and it's because he knows that's exactly right. Like he knows what's real and what's not.
Hmm. Right.
So
Right. He sees what
mhm.
when he grabs something and the adult wants it back versus, hey, here, have this.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
now can I ignore you for 10 seconds so I can attend to what's on the stove?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. David has a toy chainsaw
Uh-huh.
and he won't go near it if there's a real chainsaw around.
Yeah.
And there's lots of real chainsaws.
Yeah.
Gotta
Yeah.
check out what dad's using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he loves chainsaws.
Huh.
Like he thinks they're so cool. But he has like this reverence for them too.
Mm.
Like certain things that he's like really, really thinks are cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't just dive right in and like want to touch him and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be like, oh, 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 like look around. Is there anyone watching me see this? Like if I give him, I don't know, the other day I had a chainsaw out and I set it outside the garage and I fired it up. And it like wasn't a super loud one. So like I was cool with him going up to it and it didn't have the bar and chain on it. So like, I had the bar and chain off, set it down outside on the grass and it was just kind of sitting there idling. I was like, "Go ahead, David." And he looked at me and he was like, "Oh, oh, 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 oh," and then like took a couple steps forward and then like one step back and looked at me again like, "Really? Like I can go to it?" And then he like went up and eventually like poked it and then was like, and he didn't even like he knows how to rev his toy saw. Like
Right.
he knows what the trigger does and everything, and he couldn't bring himself to do it because he was like, "Man, this is too crazy."
Whoa. Just the
Yeah,
real deal.
yeah.
Dang.
So,
Huh.
yep.
Yeah, it's funny how as humans we're so mimetic, right?
Mhm.
We want what others want. We want to do what others do. We want to Yeah, we want to occupy our time with what other people are occupying their time with. Generally, there are people who are exceptions to this, of course. But
Yeah.
yeah. Huh. Is he old enough that you can have him in like your shop with you, or does that just mean you're watching him and not really getting anything done?
What's mainly concerning is that the shop's kind of greasy. And so like I don't want him to get a bunch like bar
Mm,
oil and stuff all over him. But
right.
I don't feel comfortable having him next to a running saw with the bar and chain on.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
he just doesn't get it, you
Yeah.
know. So, um, yeah, but he loves going in the shop. I've got all these saws everywhere.
Hmm.
And then I've got a ton of junk saws. So I just bought
You're just saying you bought like 70 saws, something like that?
probably
70.
around 70 chainsaws. Yeah, from a saw shop in Riverton. Um,
Are they closing down or something?
no. So what's crazy is like a year ago, I uh, I went over there and I'm always kind of like scrounging for like projects. I love projects. Like I can get a project for $50 and put some time and money into it. Sometimes I'll make, $500 or something like that off of it. So, and then saw shops often don't have the time, to mess with certain things. Like if a saw needs bearings, like and the case needs to be split, that's a full tear. That's as far as you can tear a saw down,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to take a long time because you got to clean everything. Most of these are like rode into the ground and they're just super dirty and caked up with stuff. And then you got to pull everything apart and put it all back together. So I benefit from that. And I'll go to these shops and I'll say, hey, like, can I look through your junk pile? Usually they have a junk pile,
Things they've just been cannibalizing for
stuff
parts.
like, so this particular shop, I think it's kind of a interesting deal because it makes sense to me. They charge X amount for diagnostic fees for anything that comes in, right?
Hmm.
So like $30 or something like that. Let's call it $30. Saw comes in, it's not running. They say, hey, it's going to cost a minimum of $30. We'll diagnose it for $30. Um, and if they diagnose it to be something that is cost prohibitive for them or the customer to repair, then they'll offer the customer the option to waive the $30 diagnostic fee, and then they'll just keep the saw, the broken saw. And so most people at that point are like, well, I'm not going to be able to fix it if you're not going to fix it. So like whatever, rather than pay $30 for something that's broken,
Uh-huh.
like why don't you just go ahead and keep it? And then they use those saws.
Or they say, yeah, or is it sometimes, hey, we can fix it, but it's going to cost you $230
Exactly.
and you
Yeah.
could get a brand new steel for 450. So,
Yeah. And most of the time the customer is just like, whatever.
yeah.
And then the saw shop uses those old saws as parts for the saws that they also need to fix. But at a certain point, like you reach, yeah, a time where the saws that you've got back there, they're just too out of date. People don't really have them anyways. So that's where I come in because I love the old stuff. I love the vintage like 70s and 80s and 90s stuff. Um, and there's a huge market for those too. There's like, okay, chainsaws are really crazy because in the whole wide world of outdoor power equipment, chainsaws stand out as being freaking cool. They're powerful in your hands and they cut stuff real fast. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of it's like a sword,
Right.
you know?
It's like a lightsaber.
Yeah, that has like noise
Mm.
and vibrations and like yeah, like it's an engine. Think about like a weed whacker though. Like I'm sure there's like I'm proud of my weed whacker. I've got a nice weed whacker, but I'm not like, oh frick, yeah.
You're not stoked on your
Weed
weed
whacker.
Yeah,
whacker.
it's good
Dude,
stuff.
let's like trade weed whackers and like find parts for this special weed whacker. Like yeah.
Because people
Um
talk up your saw too. If you have like a 20-inch still, people are like, bro,
yeah.
nice
Yeah.
saw.
Yeah, and there's different
Yeah.
grades of them too. You got your homeowner grade saws, you've got your like farm and ranch grade saws, and then you've got pro grade saws.
Yeah.
And then there's, oh my gosh, the whole world of saws is wild. Like, so there's competitions. right? You see like lumberjack
Mm-hmm.
competitions. Um, uh, there's hot saws. So hot saws are typically like, I mean, custom mod saws that like people will make a chainsaw out of like a dirt bike engine. They'll take like a dirt bike engine,
Uh-huh.
they'll pull it out of the bike, they'll modify the case, whatever, put it in a frame, make a hot saw out of it. And that's basically what you're doing is you're trying to come up with the quickest way to haul a freaking chain through a piece of wood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that's kind of like you see some,
Big are these things? I mean, a dirt bike engine?
yeah,
I
like
mean,
huge deal. Like, yeah. So like that, the hot sauce,
must be like 50 pounds.
yeah, probably. They're probably up there 50 pounds.
Damn.
Yeah. And then you're limited by the weight too, right? Because you have to be able to lift it up and control it.
Right.
So like the way that a hot saw competition is, you start with saw on the ground and your hands on the piece of wood that you're cutting. The buzzer goes off. You have to grab that saw, start it, down cut, up cut, down cut, right? And like if you can't grab that saw and start it easy too, that's the other thing about like if it's too big, you're not going to be able to start that thing, you know. Um so but you see some crazy stuff with the hot saws, but then there's like different classes too, like just modified stock saws.
Mm-hmm.
So like ported cylinders on stock saws and stuff. And that's I love that type of stuff. Um, taking like a stock saw and modifying it to to be special. And so like I've ported a few saws now. I've done three of them. Um, I'm learning. There's a lot of theory associated with it. And so it took me a year and a half of like wanting to port a saw before I actually jumped and did it. Um, all this theory basically involves the timing of the intake and exhaust and ignition and everything of that engine. Um, Two strokes are very they're very similar in certain ways to four strokes, but also they're just totally different in a lot of ways. So like on a truck or on like just any four stroke engine, um, the way that a four stroke works is that you have uh, some kind of timing, uh, mechanically controlled like timing component to it. So
Okay.
a valve train, you know, and so like on a classic old V8 engine, you have your crankshaft with all of your connecting rods that go to your pistons and your various cylinders. Um, and usually that was driven, so there's a sprocket on the front with a chain. That chain drives a camshaft, and the camshaft has these lobes on it. And as it rotates, those lobes push up push rods, and the push rods cause rocker arms to pivot, and the rocker arms push on valve. Well, they basically open the valves, and
To allow it in your fuel air
to
mix.
allow exactly at just the right time in that cycle of the engine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so like on a four stroke, you have so not every time that the engine turns around are you actually getting power
Mm-hmm.
from a particular cylinder. Every other time
Mm-hmm.
that the engine makes a full revolution, you're getting power. And that's because you have your power stroke, and then you have your exhaust stroke,
And then you have like an air compressor
and then
stroke,
and then
two
you
ways.
yeah, so you have your power stroke, the piston comes down.
Yeah.
After that, you got your exhaust stroke. As it comes up, pushes the exhaust out.
Mm-hmm.
You got your intake stroke, which goes down again and sucks air in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got your compression stroke, which builds compression before that power stroke happens again. Um, And so
Power stroke, so you get your compression
that's when
stroke,
the combustion occurred.
and
Yeah.
then at the end of the compression stroke, you get the spark off your plug,
Yep.
and then
And
you
that
get your
starts the power
the
stroke.
power
Yeah,
stroke.
exactly. Yeah.
And then the exhaust empties your piston chamber,
Yep.
and then you said that
Your
the
cylinder.
intake, your cylinder,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and then you have the intake of your fuel air mixture,
Yeah, exactly.
and
And
then
so,
compress it and fire it.
yep.
Okay.
So for every revolution, I'm gonna, yeah, so for every revolution of the crankshaft, um, am I saying this right? The basically like it's 2-to-1 relationship between the camshaft and the crankshaft. Um, and so the crankshaft spins around twice for every revolution of the camshaft.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, um,
But on a two-stroke
but on a
engine,
two-stroke, okay, so
you don't have any of
on a
that
two-stroke,
timing equipment.
every single revolution of that engine,
Uh-huh.
you get all of those things at once.
Okay.
So like let's start at like where that spark happens, right? You get your power as that piston comes down, the crown of the piston crests the top of the exhaust port. At a certain point, as that piston's going down, just after that power stroke has started, it's not really a power stroke, it's just your combustion stroke, right?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as that piston crosses the top of the exhaust port, you also have exhaust that's escaping. So, boom, combustion, exhaust. At the bottom, as it starts to go up, the first step of that process is that now you're starting to think about the bottom end of your crankcase, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where the fuel and air mixture comes in is actually beneath the piston,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
that lubricates your crankshaft and bearings and everything, right? So that's how you can get away with not having to run oil in your crankcase, right? So your fuel and air mixture comes in as the piston starts to come up. Not only at a certain point does it begin to build compression as it's coming up, but it's also building up negative pressure underneath it,
Behind it.
behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which is sucking it back.
yep, and exactly. And so on most modern chainsaws, um, the intake is piston ported with the piston skirt. And when the piston skirt crests the bottom of the intake port, that negative pressure creates like a pop that sucks fuel and air in from your carburetor
Okay. Yep. Yep.
into the bottom
Because
end.
there's negative pressure behind it anyway.
Yep.
So then it passes those valve. I'm sorry. I don't want to say valve, but basically those ports.
The ports, yeah.
So, and then that negative pressure is pulling in a fuel air mixture from the carb.
Yep, yep. And then as the piston starts to go up, because still you got to remember the exhaust port is now still open, but as soon as the piston begins to pass the top of that exhaust port roof, it begins to build compression again
In front of it.
in front of it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And then in order to get that fuel and air mixture from the bottom end of the crankcase to the top end, you have these ports in it that are called transfer ports.
Because it came in behind the piston
Yeah.
head due to that negative pressure. But
Uh-huh.
now you've got this fuel air mixture and you got to get it back
You
up
got
to
to
the
get
top.
back up on top. So
Okay.
so then now let's think about it knowing that there's transfer ports, right? So
Mm-hmm.
boom, spark occurs, that piston starts to come down. It crests across the top of that exhaust port. The exhaust begins to happen shortly after that exhaust opens. It crests the top of the transfer port. And as the piston's coming down, that fuel and air is displaced, goes around the transfer ports and bypasses the piston, goes up to the top end.
Outside. So it goes up the transfer case, you said?
The transfer ports.
Ports.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's going outside the piston
Yep,
cylinder.
around it, around
Right.
the piston,
Mm-hmm.
up to the top end.
Yep.
And what that charge does too, not only is it filling the cylinder with fuel and air, but it's also purging that exhaust out. It's displacing the exhaust as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of little elements there. Now there's all these numbers that you got to think about too. Like when you get into porting, or
Hmm.
even just like design of a two-stroke, right? So like the amount of degrees of rotation in which you begin to pass the top of that exhaust port shortly after ignition, that number in degrees is extremely important.
Okay.
If
The
you
number of degrees of the crank
the crankshaft's
shaft. So
rotation,
how
yeah,
far is it
yeah.
going around its
So
circle?
you talk about this in terms of degrees after top dead center,
Okay.
ATDC.
ATDC.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so like on a chainsaw, I can't speak so much for like performance two-stroke outboard engines or snow machines or like whatever I'm learning, but like on a chainsaw, so like a saw that revs really high and like spins really fast, um, but lacks maybe some torque because everything's a compromise there. Like you can get a saw that spools up really fast and zoom, like rips really hard, but as soon as you put it in wood, it might just lose all of its guts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that type of saw might have an exhaust port that opens at 95 degrees after top dead center.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a saw that maybe is like more balanced. It revs high, but it's also got a decent amount of torque and like whatever. That might be 102 degrees after top dead center. And a saw that's like a pig that like doesn't rev super high, but it just like grunts through the wood and doesn't bog down at all. That might, have an exhaust that opens at 110 degrees after top dead center. So like just a few degrees makes a huge difference on the performance of the saw in terms of exhaust type. But then there's this second number. The second number is degrees after the exhaust port opens until the upper transfer ports open. And that's called your blowdown.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have a blowdown that's very short, what that's going to do, it'll do a number of things. And this theory, uh, well, it doesn't apply to all situations. Certain shapes and bore sizes of cylinders and all sorts of other factors, such as like case compression, case volume, ratios between the volume of the area above the piston when the cylinder's open to the volume of the crankcase below, like size of the transfer ports, shape of the transfer ports, direction of the flow through the transfer ports, like all this stuff like affects it all. But basically, like a short blowdown, what that does is it'll purge that exhaust out really quick, but it could cause you to have a very inefficient saw. You
As
might
in you're using a ton
you're
of
you're
gas.
blowing gas out through the exhaust port.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, an extended, but it can make the saw zippier,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it can cause your saw to rev up higher, faster, um, with less effect on the torque. Okay. But a saw that has a lower blowdown, um, or a longer blowdown, right? That might not fill the top end of the cylinder um, soon enough to purge that exhaust out. And
Okay.
then you're inefficient in the opposite direction. You're not getting enough fuel and air.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
running dry, if you will, or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's underpowered.
Yeah, and it can be underpowered and also similar to exhaust, like the lower that it is tends to be like a little more grunty, torquey, but like uh in some ways you can kind of think of it as like a finer adjustment on the coarser adjustment of the exhaust, you know. But there's more to that than there's some guys that this is what they live and breathe, and they'll
Uh,
probably pull their hairs out, if they heard this. They're like, well, but there's this nuance to it. But
but I
yeah,
mean, all of these things are trade-offs. Yes. I mean, and so you're trying to get a saw more or less optimized for the person using it.
exactly.
They
Yeah.
don't want to be putting fuel in it
So
every 20 minutes,
so basically,
but they also needed to do the job.
yeah. So this is what fascinates me to make long story short, I guess why I went down. But what fascinates me is that with chainsaws, there's so many different variables you can play with, and then it's measurable. That's the cool
Oh.
thing. Like with a weed whacker or a blower or something like that, like how are you gonna measure your performance gains? Oh, I blew leaves 10 feet further.
Mm.
I don't know. Like like I cut thicker grass, you know?
Yep.
Like with a chainsaw, you can go to a piece of wood, make a cut with it, go do performance work on your saw, go back to that same piece of wood, make a cut with it, compare the times,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
Or
or compare like a small piece of wood to a big piece of wood,
Yep.
or like whatever, and keep you can play with these variables. And so like the same reason why people are into hot rods and performance vehicle stuff and like whatever, like is why people are into chainsaw hoarding. Like
Mm.
it's just super cool. You can play with all these different variables. You can build
And
a
you can play with it on the same saw. It's not all determined necessarily by the way the parts were manufactured.
Yeah, and there is some variants. I mean, there's special cylinders that come out of the factory and they're just like made really well, or you get a good run or like whatever. But and people talk about there's a lot more lore than there is like truth associated with all that. But
So why do you like the 70s and 80s saws? Are they being made with less,
I think
I don't
it's
know, safety in mind and more performance? Like
not
what's the
necessarily, yeah. So like I think today's saws are probably as high performing as they've ever been.
Okay.
Like that's the cool thing about, like when you look at cars, right? Like I don't know, for a certain period of time, I'd say like the 80s and then maybe the 2010s, like as more uh EPA regulations or whatever come on, like, manufacturers their vehicles performance suffers, for certain time periods. Right now we've got more regulation than there's ever been, but there's like more innovation too, which is
Hmm.
pretty cool. And for better or worse, because like some people would say that the saws that are out today are less durable than they've ever been,
Okay.
higher performing than they've ever been.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Um, but the reason why I like the older saws, I think, is mostly because of the history. Um,
Uh-huh.
I love logging history. I love like I just love the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Like I mean, I love,
Just in terms of that general culture of Americana.
yeah, yeah, Americana
Interesting.
music,
Yep.
um, like, just pre cell phones.
Yeah. Okay.
Like how do people actually live for real?
Right.
Like back when men were men, and like and then with logging specifically, like the golden age, like the golden age of logging was like probably the early 1900s. Um, but there's a point in which the golden age of logging, as it tapered off, intersected the golden age of chainsaws. And that climax, that point in which they met at their highest point, was probably in like the 70s or 80s.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what's really cool is like there was still like kind of this tapering off golden age of logging with the beginning of the golden age of saws. And it was like it's pretty cool. There's like a lot of innovation that was going on back then. Saws were made really durably. They were made, they were made to last. They were made really well, and there were all these manufacturers
Because
that,
they assumed that they were being used by professionals in remote environments.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. And like back then too, like a piece of equipment had more inherent value, you know, like like these days people have multiple cars, multiple saws, you know what I mean? Like whatever, like things have generally become cheaper and easier to get and like more mass produced. But back then, like I think relatively saws costed a lot more.
Sure. Okay.
And so like,
It was a, it was an investment.
yeah, it was an investment. And there was this pride in manufacturing and pride in owning those things. Um, and you can see that like when you see these pieces of equipment, like
Hmm.
they're just really cool. And then the design too was like nowadays, like a lot of the design is very similar from manufacturer to manufacturer. They've found the package that seems to work is like the most compact, lightweight, high performing package that they could possibly come up with. But there was a lot of really interesting, weird innovation going on back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I really respect that. Like my mind works. uh, I have probably more of like an engineering type mind. And I like to see the ways that people were innovating with different things, such as in a chainsaw, there's the anti-vibration system. So like the handles are isolated from the engine to to minimize the effect of the vibration of the saw on your joints, on your fingers. Like, have you ever ran an old piece of power equipment like a weed whacker or whatever, and you're just tingling
Yeah.
afterwards? Like your hands are tingling.
Yeah.
So like if you run a modern saw, like that you bought today, like off the
Yeah.
shelf at a dealer, there's none of that.
Yeah. It's a
They
Cadillac.
perfected the AV. But back then, people were playing around with different like concepts, different orientations of the cylinders. So like nowadays, cylinders are just on top of the crankcase. They're getting to the point where most of them are angled back on top of the crankcase.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, most cylinders were oriented horizontally, um, and uh, and then the carburetors were on top. And now, yeah, they're oriented more vertically. The carburetors on the back. Um, But there were some manufacturers out there that were like doing some really weird AV stuff. There were manufacturers orienting cylinders in weird ways. You had twin cylinder engines. You had companies like Dolmar, who was just a German company, Sachs Dolmar. They put a Wankel rotary engine in their chainsaw.
Really?
Yeah, so there's a chainsaw with a little miniature Wankel motor or rotary engine in their saw. The Echo had a saw that had two cylinders, so a twin cylinder saw. Uh, McCullough, which they're like the classic, like awesome muscle saw innovators from America, like America. Um, and McCullough saws,
You pick it up, you
yeah,
start using it, you've got
it's
a
like,
mullet
oh
10
yeah,
minutes
you hear
later.
the eagle screeching and yeah, like get a tear in your eye. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Oh,
so
classic McCullough.
so McCullough saws, they came out with this crazy design where they had a piston and cylinder, but then a balance piston and cylinder. And back in the 60s, when engines weren't revving much past 8,000 RPMs, they came out with a saw that was pushing 12, 13.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Wow.
yeah. And it was because they had everything perfectly balanced on that. That project didn't last very long.
Too
Um,
expensive?
well, actually, they were governed with a fuel governor
Mm.
on them to prevent them from over revving.
Mm-hmm.
And in the event that the governor failed,
It would blow
they
up.
they could rev so high that they would just tear themselves apart. Like they could, that particular engine could reach 20,000 RPMs just if it was let loose, but it
Uh,
wouldn't last very long.
right. Oh,
Um,
okay.
so
Redlining. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So like these days, like a good ported saw, like the modern like solution to all this is pretty standard now. Like people, the formulas are pretty well figured out.
Mm-hmm.
There and there's porters doing some really cool, interesting, innovative stuff, but generally like a nice good work saw, like it's gonna rev to about 15,000 RPMs
Mm-hmm.
from like a stock 13 or so,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 13.5. Yeah. So um,
That's
just to
insane.
put that into perspective, they were, you know, basically like they built a saw that would rev as high as like just a stock today's saw back in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's all these really cool, like strange saws from back in the day that I'd love to have in a collection at some point. But
Did you always know you were into this, or did you just go about your life and then one day someone handed you a chainsaw and you thought, oh,
no, so like
this is what I've been waiting for?
chainsaws, like I've always been into just cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just like cool stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
And like I felt like it was inevitable that I would get a chainsaw. But like I do this a lot where I'm like, I'm gonna get into that at some point, but I'm not gonna do it right now because I don't have time,
Yeah.
you know. But at one point, when after I moved here, I was like, I think it's time for a chainsaw. So I went to the pawn shop and they had a number of chainsaws. They had a bunch of chainsaws on the shelf, and I found this one, this big, old, ugly, dirty steel, and the name tags had been pried off of it, and it was all sun baked and everything, and it was sitting there among all the other saws, but it looked very unpresentable, but it also looked very appealing
Mm-hmm.
because it was big and it was like
The
old,
thought of doing some work.
obviously like 90s era, like late 80s, early 90s. Like this saw's done some work. It looks like it could be really cool. And I didn't even know what it was. I offered the pawn shop owner a few hundred rounds of cheap 308 ammo in trade, and he was like, sure. So, so I got this saw, and then I looked it up, and what I found out was that it was a steel 064, and turns out it was one of the greatest saws that steel ever made.
Really?
Yeah, like highly sought after, um, classic login saw. Came out in 85, 86. Was produced in various iterations through the early 2000s and foreign third world countries. Um, Lasted in the United States market through the mid 90s. But yeah, that saw, I got really into it because I got into the forums and I saw all these people talking about how cool it was. And then I saw things like power to weight ratio and like um, all these old login photos. There's this company called West Coast Saw that makes these really cool YouTube videos of guys felling trees in the modern day. And they had a featured video of them working with an 064 for a day out in the trees. And I was like, this is sweet. So I learned all about the saw, put a new cylinder and piston in it, fixed all these little things on it, pulled the plastics off that were all faded by the sun and like buffed them and like,
Yeah.
just like found reproduction name tags for it.
Oh,
Like I
really?
went full on like, like really deep into it and I was like, dang, this is really fun. Now what's another saw that I can do this with?
Mm-hmm.
And I found a saw that was for sale locally, and I talked the guy down to $20 because it wouldn't start.
Uh-huh.
Took that $20 saw, put, I don't know, $10 into it, flipped it for a couple $100. Took that couple $100, bought a few other junk saws from other people, flipped those. So now what I have, I calculated it out the other day. I think I've got 15 to $20,000 worth of chainsaws in my
Mm-hmm.
garage. That started from the initial $20
$20.
saw that I
Oh
found.
my
And I've
God.
kept it pretty true to that. Like I haven't really done, at times I've used some of our like family money to buy parts, but then I've paid us back
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
like kept it separate. And so like everything that I've got has come from that, not to mention all the money that's flowed in just as additional income.
Yeah.
Um, and just from this hobby.
That's a
So
great hobby, yeah.
yeah. And I have not gone official with business at all. And the word of mouth is strong enough that I have people coming to me like multiple times a week asking me to work on their saws. And I turn down most people because I just don't have time anymore. And I just want to focus on the stuff I like to do, which is work on my own stuff and flip my own stuff and like get to play with it and use it. And like I'll get something, I'll restore it, I'll use it, play with it, like have fun. And then I'll be like, cool, I'm ready for something new. Let's sell this and try something else out. And then like profit off of it. And every time I make a deal, I usually make money,
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
You are the broker. Damn.
Chainsaw broker.
Yeah, the chainsaw
Oh,
broker.
okay.
Vintage chainsaw broker. I don't
Uh-huh.
really deal with the modern stuff too much.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that'll be our title, Vintage Chainsaw
The
Broker.
vin yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the VCB.
That's right.
Let's take a quick break.
Sweet.
Golly. Search and rescue.
Are we
Uh
on?
I just turned it on.
oh, we're on.
Like, seriously.
Oh, okay. We're back. So with all these different ideas, projects, side hustles that are on your mind, I mean, do you sometimes feel a little bit pulled in too many directions by your own mind of like, I'm interested in this, but I also really want to do this, and I really have a passion for a thousand things. Do you feel that way?
Yeah.
And what do you
Yeah.
do with that? Do you feel as if, man, I'm going to have to make some tough choices in the years to come and just let
Yeah.
some stuff go?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a constant struggle to figure out how to prioritize different things.
Mm.
Um, I think that like when I think back on college, um, I did not realize how much my decisions would affect me now. And I am really grateful for having gone to college. I don't think I would change anything about the way that I did it, but I also like as an adult now wish that like for my own self right now, like that I could have. So I went in to college as an engineering major and then I switched.
Yeah.
I now I'm like, man, if I had only stayed with engineering, you
Why is
know.
that?
Um, because I haven't used either of my degrees, and at a certain point, like, man, I've got a family now, and I need to make some money,
Right. Okay.
and like, the thing is, I'm into these chainsaws, I'm into, you know, all sorts of stuff.
Hmm.
Usually that costs money. um,
Oh,
so
dude.
like
Yeah. You got to be careful with your hobbies.
snowmobiles,
Yeah.
chainsaws, trucks,
Well, at least the
like
chainsaws.
airplanes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Airplanes.
Getting into
Yeah.
airplanes.
Oh yeah, I've been into airplanes. I've been working at the airport for a couple years now.
Yeah.
Um, but all this stuff, and I'm like, I can afford, quote in quotations, afford like the chainsaw hobby that I have right now.
Hmm.
But sure, I can afford it in the short term. But actually, like, is it affecting my ability to pursue a career that like will allow me to better support my family and do the things that I want to do? Like, is it taking away from that? And it might actually be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, uh, anyways, I switched in college from being an engineering major to, uh, really wanted to study theology.
Yeah.
And I was going to a school that had a great theology program,
Sure.
and I really enjoyed the required like introductory theology classes that I had to take as part of the standard curriculum. Um, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I was really convinced at one point that I wanted to be a college theology professor.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and I turned around and told my parents that, and they were kind of devastated. They were like, I can't believe you're going to do that. You're not going to make any money.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's not secure.
They were
Like,
pretty happy to see you go into engineering.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I made a deal with my parents that if I switched majors, that I would double major
Uh-huh.
in theology and some kind of business
Okay.
major. So the I originally went in to study business management, which is just kind of like the general catch-all like business major. But found out in my junior year that I was not gonna be able to pull that off without having to stay longer, but I could pull off international business,
Wow.
the international business major that they had.
Hmm.
So I was like, cool, I'll just switch majors to international business. So I did. And what was cool about that is I had to go to, well, I didn't have to go to a foreign country to study abroad, but you did have to have some kind of like immersive experience somehow. And the easiest way to do so, like the standard way, was to go study abroad. And Benedictine has a study abroad program in Florence, Italy.
Hmm.
So I got to study in Florence, and that was really cool. But it was really so that I could study theology. Um, so then I graduated, um, worked as a missionary in Denver um, for an outdoor organization,
Is that Camp Otiwa?
Creatio.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I was Creatio's second class of missionaries ever. Um, did that for 2 years. Then I was like, I want to work in a shop. And then just got sick and tired of Denver. Um, and then I was like, Lander, I like Lander. I've been there before. Lander's really cool. Let's go check it out.
Hmm.
So I came on a road trip and I checked out Lander. And I was like, this is it. So I talked to Tom Zimmer and I was like, Tom, can you get me a job?
Yep.
And he said, no. And then a month later, he said, actually, yes.
Hmm.
And I was like, can you give me a house? And he said, perfect timing. I've got a house for you too. And I was like, cool. So I just moved out to Lander. And I started working for
That in
Core.
22?
That was in 2022. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The road trip that I went on was in February of 2022.
Yep.
And then I moved out in May of 2022.
Okay.
Um, and uh, and then yeah, so I was working for Core Expeditions, doing the outdoor guide like uh, stuff. I started doing admissions, uh, and so I was working with Marissa,
Hmm. Hmm.
and Marissa was my boss.
Hmm.
And then Mike found out that I worked on cars, and he was like, "Hey, can you do some sides? Like, can
Can
you
I
work
borrow you?
part time?" Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then I came up with like agreement that my time in the shop was worth more than my time
In the
in
office.
the office, which was cool. And then but oh god,
Because if you were working at a professional mechanic shop,
oh
your
exactly,
time would
yeah,
be worth, they'd have to pay even more than that.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that was kind of a headache because I was working half the day with Marissa, half the day in the shop, getting paid on two different schedules, like having to log my hours for everything that I did.
Yeah.
And basically, in over the course of 6 months, I showed that I was saving the school enough money. I started documenting everything, and I was like, this is how much a shop would have cost. This is how much I cost,
Right.
like whatever.
Right.
And I convinced them to give me a salaried full-time
Yeah.
fleet manager position,
Yeah.
and then that was great. But that all occurred before I had a family, before I was married, before I had a house.
Yeah.
And so like right now I'm like, oh my goodness, like if I had just stayed with engineering,
Uh-huh.
then
You wouldn't have to be so creative now
yeah,
in
yeah,
terms of,
exactly. And then I could do the saw thing for fun entirely.
mm-hmm.
And I could have it draining money. And that would still be okay.
I could buy every 064 I saw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's guys that I know that are like that. A lot of the guys are old guys that retired as like, doctors and engineers and business owners and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the guys that I associate with in the chainsaw world are able to actually just pursue it as a hobby.
Sure.
Um,
Whereas you have to be counting your pennies with it.
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Do you think, though, that you have been put onto a more creative path by all the things you've done and experienced rather than you go to college for 4 years, you get an engineering degree, and then you're working for
it's
the
cert
DEQ somewhere?
it's certainly given me the opportunity to meet a lot of people and have a lot of different experiences that I highly value.
Hmm.
Like the draw to me is not just making a buck or having fun myself. It also is the other people.
Yeah,
And especially even in town, like, oh my gosh, I've gotten to meet so many different people and
sure.
it's awesome. I
Hmm.
love old guys.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
I can just sit and hang out with old guys
Right,
all the time.
right.
Like, there's so many cool stories, and I love hearing about the way that the world used to be, you know?
Yeah.
And it's given me lots of creative thoughts and ideas. And like, I feel like right now is like, right now, how I define my time is gathering as much information as I can
Hmm.
before I fully commit to like, we're going to figure, like, I want, I don't know, either I'm going to own a business or at least try, right? Because you have to commit to a direction. It's not necessarily where you end up, right? Um,
Yeah,
like, yeah, God can direct you along the way. You have to be moving, you know?
right,
But I'm like,
right.
okay, like I don't want to get stuck caught in stagnation. That's a thing that I see a lot of people do is like
Huh.
they get stagnant. They're afraid to make a decision, right?
Sure.
Like I'm not necessarily afraid to make a decision. I'm just like I still feel like I'm taking in information. I'm like, okay, like yeah, what do I want to do? I don't know. So one move that I have made is yeah, just very practical. Like I just started taking a class at CWC, linear algebra,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's a class that I need if I were to pursue an engineering degree.
Okay.
Um, and I already have, in addition to my freshman year of college that I did as an engineering major, I actually took a number of college credit classes in high school and stuff. So I'm actually pretty well along towards an engineering degree. And I'm like, all right, like, let's just start checking some boxes. And
Mm.
like, it's not going to hurt me one bit to take it. It can only benefit me right now to take
Right.
a college class. And so that's been kind of cool.
Do
And
you feel as if getting married or maybe having a kid, do you feel like that has brought things into focus in a way or not? Like maybe it hasn't.
well, it's definitely lit a fire under me in certain
Right.
ways. Like, this is not just about me anymore.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Uh-huh.
the future of my family depends on the way that I decide to navigate this time,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So,
Yeah. Okay. So it's not necessarily eliminated interest in certain areas or scopes. It's just, it's made you think, yeah, I do have all these different interests. I have these different draws, but wow, it's time to buckle down in a way that wasn't true 5 years ago.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, definitely. And then, I mean, like, if anyone who is listening to this is not married, like, um, the decisions that you're making still do affect your marriage, you know? It's just not as uh
It's not,
concrete, not
yeah, it's not as
yeah,
obvious
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
that you're sort of writing the future in some way.
Hmm. You can still be selfish even if you're single, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow. So, but it also seems that you are still exploring some different things, right? You are you're working a job that's not tightly related to being a chainsaw broker, which is not tightly related to being an engineering student, right? So you are looking in different directions.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be cool with like if I think it would be awesome to be a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot of risk associated with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's still on my mind for sure.
Yeah.
I have good friends that are business owners and I kind of envy them, you know, like they
Uh-huh.
can pick and choose their schedule and like and they do pretty well for themselves and it's like an honest way to make a living, you
Uh-huh.
know? Like yeah, you know exactly what you're doing. You're cutting down trees or you're fixing airplanes,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I
yeah.
know that I've always been a little bit, I guess I'll say, envious of people who are, well, maybe envy isn't the right word. Curious slash envious slash, uh, let's start with those two.
Yeah.
People who have just a very high level of practice in some scope, right? Be it professional sports or be it law
Yeah, yeah.
or other areas in which basically they are widely seen as a subject matter expert, and so their time in that field is worth so much
Uh-huh.
that they can really relegate everything else in their life around that.
Was I talking to you and Jake about this a couple weeks ago?
I
I
think we
think.
were
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about it
Okay.
briefly.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is like a modern phenomenon. Um, I think it has to do with the internet,
Okay.
where people put all of their eggs in one basket,
Mm-hmm.
and it's strictly based on appearance.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be recognized or appear to be the expert in something,
Mm-hmm.
and they will risk it all for that. YouTubers,
Uh-huh.
podcasters, athletes.
Keep going, but I have questions about the athlete one, but
Okay, sure.
yeah.
Yeah. But
So
I
you're
mean,
talking about content creators or
content creators.
uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
people
People,
who write primarily online, people who model primarily online, people who do
sure.
sex work
But
online,
even
stuff
even
like
just
that.
average ordinary people who have an online presence that want to appear to be good because we have our own self satisfaction side of everything too, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like we just want to be recognized, right? Not recognized to make money necessarily, even though that's cool too, you know, like, but I mean, there's plenty of people who are making good money and living good lives that also like spend all of their time on social media and whatever, and they just want to look good, right?
Ah,
You know what I
okay.
mean? Sorry, I'm kind of going on a tangent because I feel kind of passionate about this, but
No, this
lately,
yeah, this
especially.
is what we're here for.
So, the Gen Z has come up with a word for this. Did I tell you this?
What's the
The
word?
the word, well, I guess it's a phrase. It's called, or yeah, I guess it's a word. Maxing is what they
Okay.
call it. Like you're maxing in this, right? So like, I think it comes from like Dungeons and Dragons. So you know, in Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
you like roll your, what are they called? You
Roll your
roll.
attack
No, no,
or
no. When you're creating your character,
oh, jeez.
you roll the dice to figure out what your proficiencies and weaknesses are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you get a certain number of points that you can assign to different categories, right? So traditionally, like in Dungeons and Dragons, like you might stack like a couple categories, but then keep everything else as like we got at least some points in other categories, right? But um, one way of doing it is you could max on a category. You
Okay.
just suck at everything, but put all your points on one thing.
This one ability.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I forget what the categories are. If Brendan Davis is listening, or who else? Josh Rednicky.
Yeah,
Um,
Josh.
they're probably gonna.
They're rolling their eyes right
Yeah,
now. They're
I
like,
know.
"Come on, man! It's the spell casting. Just say spell casting."
But
Or
yeah,
whatever it is.
there's
I don't
like
know.
I don't know. I feel like this maybe like evasion or something like that is one,
Okay.
or you know what I mean. So like, anyways, you're you put all your coins on that,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and that's what people are doing
In real life,
in
you
real
mean?
life.
Yep.
Like, and there's this like uh, what do they call it? I know in skateboarding they talk about like the disparity of like tricks. It's like how people these days like maybe they call it trickflation.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
I think that's the word.
Like there are 16-year-olds who are doing what Tony Hawk was doing professionally
Exactly.
25 years ago, and they're
Yeah.
16.
And then
Yeah.
they're all over YouTube and you can figure out exactly how to do it. And
Mm.
part of it is just knowing that it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
But also part of it is like this social pressure to stand out and like accompanied by maxing. So sacrificing everything for that one thing that you think that you really need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's turning people into these crazy, like one dimensional zombie type people. Like all they have no ability to communicate. They have no skills
Yeah.
outside of the one thing. And that's all that they're living for, you know? Um, I think that it's hard to find the classic jack of all trades. And I think that it's going to be highly valuable in the modern era to be proficient in a number of things
Mhm.
and not excellent in a number of things, but just well versed,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And
Like,
that's what I think of when I think of like the shooting and stuff too. Like,
Yeah.
holy crap, there's some incredible people out there that are shooting like amazingly, you
right,
know?
right.
Like it's easy to get on YouTube and find these professional shooters that
Would
like
just make you look like a child if you
exactly.
shot next to him.
But I don't know, maybe I could be wrong, but like in a situation where there's some kind of economic collapse and you need to like take care of your family, I would bet that shooting proficiency is like low on the list of important things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like before the bullets start flying, like you're gonna need to know how to, I don't know, start a fire, build a shelter,
Grow
like
tomatoes.
yeah, grow
Yeah.
veggies, like you know, navigate, you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
And that's why I think Jake was telling us about like these elite uh, teams,
Mhm. Like special operators, like, yep.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like
Like Green
of,
Berets or something.
of the different, you know, tier one and tier two teams that are out there in our armed forces. Um, there are only a few of them that are extremely proficient in shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because there's so many skills that are needed in order to like provide intel, you know, reconnaissance,
Yep.
counterinsurgency, you know, all this crazy, you know, you need to be able to how to know how to get to from
Point
point A
A
to
to
point
point
B.
B,
And you need
negotiation,
to know how to
training, and
camouflage
yeah.
yourself. You need to know how to take in intelligence, how to observe people, how to blend in, how to, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
how to
Right.
fix stuff,
Yep.
how to deal with stuff flying off the wall, like, you know,
Mhm.
and those things are often more important until you get into a firefight. And like ideally you don't, you know, but
Mm.
like, and there are a select number of those people that know every time we're going in, we're getting into a firefight. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're gonna do
Yep.
is like like go all in on like being the best at being able to like
Win
throw bullets.
firefights.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You
Yeah.
know,
It's like
so
a Jason Bourne versus a John Wick.
yeah,
A Jason Bourne can survive anything, do anything, go anywhere, and he's still a really good shot.
yeah,
But John Wick is just an amazing shot.
yeah, yeah. And so I don't know. I believe that it's best to be well versed in a number of things than it is to put all your eggs in one basket. But
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think there's something to that because it's like there's so many different aspects of a human, you know? So it's kind of like we come up with stereotypical phrases, someone's a bookworm
Hmm.
that just reads all the time, but you wouldn't really necessarily call them intelligent
Sure, yeah,
necessarily.
or
They're book
yeah,
smart, but they're not like
Or emotionally intelligent
street
or street
smart.
smart.
Yeah.
street smart, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you have maybe someone like, just think of a good author, um, just like maybe someone like Jocko Willink, who's
Uh-huh.
he took an English major so he could learn how to communicate effectively, and he's considered a good author,
Hmm.
but he also knows how to fight and how to lead and how to communicate and all these other things.
Yeah.
So you'd rather have a Jocko Willink with you than just someone who's read a lot of books.
Yeah.
But he might be able to understand those books just as well because he also has developed his own person in other ways.
Hmm.
And I think all those different aspects play into,
Hmm. Well, and like in music too, right?
oh yeah, that's
Like
good.
you can be extremely technically proficient but not be a good musician.
Say
You
more.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can read the music off the sheet and play it perfectly, but there is no soul in that music.
Oh yeah.
Or you can make
Yeah.
music yourself that might even be original, but it's uninteresting because
Mm.
it's lacking some kind of
Yeah.
emotion or depth
Right. Yeah.
or groove, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And yeah, like see that a lot. There's lots of really, really good YouTube guitar players, but you're not listening to them on the radio,
That's such a good point.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
Because they're good guitar players, but they haven't transferred that
They
to
don't,
music that appeals to a wider audience,
oh, it's just
or you need other skills in order to get a record
because
deal.
they don't, I mean, and then some of the very best, well regarded musicians might not even be that technically great,
Mm-hmm.
but they're known as being brilliant. Like
Mm-hmm.
Neil Young, right? You listen to Neil Young, like Down by the River.
Mm-hmm.
The guitar solo is you know, like
Uh-huh. Yeah.
it's like, but something about like listening to that, you're like, oh, you just get pulled in, you know,
Uh-huh.
and like, and he's not,
Without it being the most sophisticated
yeah,
guitar play
yeah,
ever. Is that
yeah,
Like, yeah, like he would probably get more listens than like Billy Strings.
yeah, and I
Billy
actually really
Strings.
love Billy Strings, but yeah,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
but he's more like very, what you
He's a
can,
flat picker, yeah,
yeah,
and
that's a
he can pick
pick
fast, and
well.
yeah, exactly, and he's very technically proficient. I think that Billy Strings has a certain soul or vibe to the way that he plays though too, and there's a lot of, I mean, flat picking is a competition thing.
Mm.
Like you can go to a flat picking competition in Nashville, and there's guitars that are custom built as flat picking competition guitars, and there are pickers out there that like win awards and all sorts of stuff, but they're not making music that anyone particularly cares about.
It's kind of like when so I played drums
mm-hmm.
and I noticed that like, I was like, okay, I want to hear some really good drum music. So I looked up
Mhm.
drum battles and you don't really want to listen to it. It's just like how fast I can play something.
Yeah,
It's not a good rhythm to listen to.
yeah,
So like I've noticed like when I'm
It's sort of like a
practicing,
very narrow branch of a specialization.
yeah,
Right.
it's like pretty much how good can you do rudiments is essentially a drum battle.
Mm-hmm.
But your rudiments aren't exactly fun to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hear a syncopation.
yeah,
Right.
Like
yeah.
good syncopation
Huh.
is what drives good drum music.
Hmm. And I think it has to do with our human experience. Like, like we're looking for something in everything that we pay attention to.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy to identify, is the thing that we're looking at something that comes from a place of genuine creativity and meaning, or is it something that comes from a place of repeated practice and technical proficiency? Because that doesn't really speak to our soul, you know?
Yeah, and like it's almost like like a robot can technically drive faster on a race course, like with a car,
Uh-huh. But who would go to watch a
but
robot?
no one would want to go watch it.
Yeah,
But what you want to see is like the soul behind the driver, like
yeah,
making those mad dashes, taking those risks.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. The fights
Fights
in
in
the
it.
pit,
Yeah,
like yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Huh.
And there's something too, like you can almost, I think maybe that's why we love like live music so much. Because it's like, well, we heard the recording so many times, but this time it's different somehow. Like
Yeah.
there's someone behind this one that brings something new to
Well,
our,
and there's a whole different acoustic effect to it also.
yeah.
Like you can literally feel it and you can hear, depending on the size of the concert that you're at or whatever, you can feel the beat of the drum, the kick drum from the kick drum.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
you can hear the tingly tingles of the guitar strings as well as the sound through the amplifier, like,
You get
you know,
more drawn up into it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
And it's like special because you were there.
Right.
And that's why people even
Uh,
literally buy. So I was really into the Grateful Dead for a long time. Do you know about the Grateful Dead?
Hmm.
I know of them.
So the Grateful Dead is not some like heavy metal band that even though they've got a name that sounds like that, they are the like iconic hippie band, the hippie traveling band from the 60s through the 90s. They carried the hippie movement on their shoulders after it fell apart. And they're known for the various versions of songs from live recordings that they have in all sorts of different places throughout the years with different iterations of their band's lineup and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
if you meet a true Deadhead, like they'll be like, "Oh, my favorite show was this one." You know,
Ah,
like they'll and it was this song on my favorite version of
right.
Althea
Yeah.
was on, this show at this
Like
date.
when they played in Austin in '86.
Yeah,
This
oh, they're
song.
just the best,
Yeah.
And what's cool about the Dead too is like it was largely improvised. Like they would stick to the common structure of the song, but like they never played the song the same way twice.
Wow.
Um, that's where, yeah, I got really into that for a long time.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
That's super cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you find that over the years you've just had maybe you pursue 4 or 5 different things, but in different proportions?
Yeah, and definitely I go through phases of things. I think that's perfectly normal and fine. Like to you can only focus well on one or two things at a time, um and there's no like mad dash to gain everything at once, like
I've seen some guys do a mad dash, and it's pretty crazy. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, I got a buddy. I mean, he's been on here. I mean, Dominic Sapien in jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's what he gained in 3 years. I mean, it's just I've never seen anything
with
like it
jujitsu.
with jiu-jitsu.
Okay, I'm talking about like various proficiencies. Like if you're like I want to become the everything man. Like I think typically people fail at that.
Mm.
If you're like set out to be I think I've seen
Because you
this.
have to sort of follow your own interests.
Yeah, exactly. And I've
Yeah.
seen this with like a lot of young Catholic men actually.
Whoa, say more.
Um who like see I think they see role models, they see examples of masculinity that they want to follow and they think, "Oh, in order for me to be a good masculine man, like I need to be into hunting, fishing, woodcraft, working on cars, like music. I need to play music. I need to go into the outdoors. I need to, whatever. And you see like,
Really? You think there are guys who are just they're thinking if I'm gonna join my tribe, so to
yeah,
speak,
yeah.
I need to be interested in
Oh,
these in
I,
these
I I've seen it. I've seen it many times. Yeah. And like people like scrambling to try and gain these experiences that they think that they need, but they're not actually
interested?
like interested from the heart in the
Yeah.
things that they're into. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
and really, I think that you just pay attention to the thing that you're interested in, figure that out, and you're naturally going to become interested in something else because things lead to other
Things
things,
lead to things.
Yeah.
Do you think these young Catholic men are doing it because they think this is the only way to be respected? This is how they're gonna find a nice trad wife? Like,
Yeah.
what's the drive here?
I think it's like, unfortunately, maybe like a, a desire to attain the things that we've lost in the past too. Um,
Hmm. I
like,
gotta be a good homesteader? Is that
yeah,
okay?
maybe.
Okay.
I think that typically like if you have a homestead, you're probably like I'm thinking like kind of relatively immature
Uh-huh.
like young men,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like usually by the time that you've been able to swing a homestead, you've probably gone through some stuff,
Okay.
you know. Um, but like I'm talking like yeah, fresh out of college kids and stuff like that, or
Hmm.
in college kids, um especially I think in Catholic schools, like you hear of all these great, awesome masculine saints, good, like, you know, even contemporary men from podcasts, like, um, you know, whatever, and you think that you want to be just like that, and so you got to figure it out right now, you know? Yeah, and it's like you don't have to figure that out right now. Like, what do you want to do? You know, like what's what I okay, this is another soapbox position, I guess, that I have, but like, um, okay, if you're trying to make a decision and you've got all these different options and you're like trying to objectively look at all these options and then you're like praying about it and you're like, God, which one do I take? And you're not getting an answer
Hmm.
and you're like, I don't know what to do. It feels weird when you're not used to this to just make a decision based on what you want, right? But like,
That feels alien to certain people because they feel like they are looking
because they
for some sort of outward guidance.
outward guidance, or maybe people are used to like having decisions made for them,
Mm.
or or being directed in certain ways, like by one experience leading to another
Hmm.
kind of thing. But like if you're genuinely looking at different options that you have on the table, none of them are bad, none of them are sinful. None of them are obviously like a negative route for you to go. Just pick the one that you want to do. It's that simple. Like we literally have desires and passions built into our soul
Hmm.
that are given to us that we need to pursue. And if you want to go like, if you want to be a freaking cowboy
Uh-huh.
and that's all that you really care about and you just graduated from college, be a cowboy. Like it's like in that, if that's what obviously is not sinful or whatever, like if that's among the things that you know what I mean, like yeah,
Right. This is a genuine option. This
if
is
it's
not a
like
choice between good and evil.
exactly like if you're mom's on her deathbed and like, or you don't, I don't know, you're gonna like go work for some satanic cowboy company or
All right.
something, you know what I mean, like yeah, like you shouldn't do that, like or like you're going to hurt people from your decision or like take a destructive route, don't do that. You
But
know,
it sounds to me as if you've seen friends basically get into this state of paralysis
yeah,
for years on end because
hmm
they're waiting for some sort of golden letter in the sky, and in the meantime, they just spin their wheels. Is that what you're seeing?
Denver.
That is Denver.
That is Denver, in my opinion.
Wow.
Denver is like this. Oh, this is a hot take,
Yeah.
but I think the Denver young adult Catholic community. So there's a name that they have for it. It's called the Catholic Hot Tub. Have you heard that? The Denver young adult
No.
hot tub. It's because you get into the hot tub and it's just real cozy. You just want to stay in there, and you're in there with all these other people, and you're just kind of staring at each other, but nobody wants to go. But it's still kind of awkward. But like, why would you get out?
But why would you get out? Where else is there to go? It's
Yeah,
cold outside.
yeah,
Yeah. The hot
yeah.
tub's nice.
And so they
The
they call
Denver
they
hot
call
tub.
it the Denver hot tub. And I've seen people there just come and become vegetables and they just stay and they don't make any big decisions for themselves because it's comfortable enough to stay.
Interesting. Do you
Yeah.
think that's why there's guys in their 30s and early 40s even who are still single, maybe working a pretty good job, but
Yeah.
are just they're still doing the same things they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
12,
Know
15
people.
years ago.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And
That's the Denver hot tub effect.
yeah, and even the people in their 20s too. Like there were people that were younger than me that when I left that I was like, "Oh my goodness, dude, like why are you still here?" You know, like
Uh-huh.
and I'm glad that I got out because it had its effect on me too. It was pretty comfortable. I lived with a bunch of other guys and I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But also like I would not have met my wife and been to gotten to Lander and started this like life that I'm in right now if I had stayed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Um you got to just get up and pick something, do
Uh-huh.
something, you know? Like,
What do you, I mean, presumably the people down in the hot tub,
uh
presumably they have jobs,
yeah.
but are they working jobs they don't really like? Are they not really
I
pursuing
don't know.
the
I
adventures that
don't
would really speak to
like,
them?
yeah, I think that it could be any number of different like situations. I don't want to, um, well, I don't want anyone to think I'm thinking about them because,
Right,
and
right.
then also like,
Name names, you know.
yeah, and I'm pretty stoked that my buddy Martin Jernberg got out and he's been working um, in at a Catholic retreat out in the mountains,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
pretty cool. And he's coming back to Lander.
nice.
That's
Yeah,
pretty sweet.
yeah. I was talking to them about that about a month ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
um, but I think Denver is a great place to go if you're like fresh out of college, want to go and meet other Catholics, make some connections. Um, but you got to have the mentality that like it's for most people, it's probably not going to be their forever situation, you
sure,
know. But like some people thrive there, and that's cool too. Like and like there's plenty of really good families there that like are doing really well. And for a while we had the Augustine Institute in Denver. There are lots of families that were there associated with that.
sure.
There's really good parish communities in Denver. Uh, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, who is the FSSP parish down there. I was a part of that for a while. Our Lady of Lourdes is kind of like the young adult Catholic community with the school and everything. And like, there's really good places, really good priests, really good people, but like, it's not a forever thing for most people, you know? So you gain something there and you bring it with you to something else.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, the hot tub effect. Why would you get out? That was what my buddy John McCarthy would say about being in like the Ojai, Santa Paula area in
Yeah.
California. Yeah, he'd say, "Man, you'd graduate high school, maybe you went to college, maybe you didn't, but either way, like wherever you graduated from, either at 18 or 22," he said, then a decade can just go by.
Yeah.
And he said, "There's no seasons, right? It's not
Yeah.
like there's
I
fall,
know.
winter,
It's
spring.
crazy.
It's just every day's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Every day is great. So you can just go from 22 to 28,
Yeah.
29, and you haven't done a damn thing because
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
just
That's
you don't
very
have to. It's awesome."
it's very interesting talking to Allie about the like some my wife is from California and um the effect of the seasons not being so like harsh there.
Dramatic,
For
yeah.
the first year in my life, I think this year I've been like, whoa, like it's March already.
Hmm.
Um
It's weird.
and and like I keep thinking to myself like I was just hauling wood back in October and that seems like yesterday.
Oh, because we've had such a mild winter
Yeah,
this year.
so this mild winter in Wyoming,
Mm.
like I'm like not ready. I didn't realize like how much time had passed just now. Like
Mhm.
our newest son was born in he was born on November 11th or November 12th.
Uh-huh.
And um and he's 4 months old.
Hmm.
And to me like it seems like October, November wasn't that long ago because it hasn't really been there's not really been a division between now and then, you know.
It's
So
yeah, it's true. It has been weird. People, someone said they they moved down to Texas, came back and said, "Yeah, people seem on edge because there hasn't been a winter here. We always bemoan winter. When's it going to be over? It's so cold. What are we going to do shoveling all this snow, right? We
mhm,
bemoan winter, but now coming out of it, like now we're into mid-March, it's really going to start warming up,
yeah.
and it does feel as if, man, the
Uh-huh.
nature doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah.
We need more moisture. I mean,
So
that's for sure.
that's one thing that I envy about the people who are from the so there okay, this is apparently a point of contention among people about how to divide our country by regions. But so the people who I think would consider themselves to be from the north, right? So that'd be like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, maybe like parts of North Dakota. Um,
Ohio.
Ohio, I think, is straight up Midwest, and I think they would
Really
consider themselves to be Midwest.
interesting.
So we'll talk about that in a sec.
Yeah.
But um,
I think a mid. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
this is really, really interesting, and I'm curious to hear what people think about this. But um, uh, people from Wisconsin, Minnesota, Upper Peninsula, Michigan, um, all those northern colder regions, North Dakota. Um, uh, I really appreciate their way of life, which revolves around the winter being a time in which you just rest and hang out with family and get together with people. You make casseroles and have potlucks and
Mhm.
like that style of living.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think that people who are from places that don't have as much of that are missing out on something. You know, um, yeah.
There's not this downtime in the year, you mean?
Yeah, I think that leisure, even more so than it's ever been needed before, is needed right now.
Hmm.
Um, like because we can tolerate a lot and seem pretty normal. We can, have our thermostats set and warm cars and everything, but like at a certain point, like the car doesn't start,
Hmm.
and like you can't go outside with your wet hair after taking a shower without it just freezing solid and like whatever. Um and so like you can the modern world can like accommodate for a lot of the things until a certain point. Um so people just kind of get by like normal for the most part, and And in those other states, I mean, you kind of do have to face the factors. And but in the old days, you couldn't accommodate for all that stuff. So like even in, you know, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, like, whatever, like California, even like, you had to prepare for the winter and have wood stoves and
Right. Or at least a dry season, wet season, growing season,
exactly. And then
down
you're more
season.
connected with the seasons. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's been eye-opening just these last couple of days with the windstorms knocking our power out. It's just reminded me, geez, 80% of my day relies on electricity. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
hot take,
Yeah.
the world would be better off without any electricity.
Any electricity.
Any electricity.
So no refrigeration.
Nothing.
It's like let the people on dialysis just
I
let them
actually
go.
I actually do. I think
Oh,
and I'm not
just
saying
like
that
dry your elk
I'm
meat.
not saying that in like an insensitive way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it has to come from a Christian perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're not Christian, that sounds like the most evil thing ever.
Mm-hmm. That some people are just gonna die
Yeah.
earlier than might
But
otherwise be possible.
but I think there's like a reverence for death that may be lost due to the fact that like we can accommodate for that too,
We can hold it at
Like,
bay in ways we
yeah.
could never before.
Yeah. And gosh, I don't want to like be I'm thinking as a whole right now
Mm-hmm.
about electricity. It never used to be like this. And some of the greatest saints texts were written, plays, books, like music, human experiences were experienced, lives lived to the fullest were lived before electricity,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think that what is lost from electricity is greater than what is gained. We're living longer lives, but what are we filling those lives with?
Well, in America, we have more entertainment options. I don't know if that's as true beyond the borders of
But is the
northern.
entertainment that great?
So what?
But is the entertainment that great?
Some of it's fantastic.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people are being entertained by sinful things,
Well, that's true. Yeah.
far, I think, greater than ever before.
Yeah. Oof, man, that's tough. There's so many things I don't quite want to surrender. Yeah. I think,
And this is coming from a guy I love some freaking electric guitar.
uh-huh. Yep.
But like I thought about that. That was like a hinge point for me the other day as I was sitting on my bed. I was thinking about it. I was like, could I do without rock and roll?
Hmm.
Like I think I could.
Would rock and roll exist in a world without electricity? I don't know if that's true.
And
Yeah.
then
Technology has an effect on the art we produce.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Man, that's tough. It's tough. I do remember my time in Belize. I knew some when I was in Belize, I was there a year. The town had gotten to the point where mostly you had electricity like pretty much 24/7. But just outside town, I knew some families who had no electricity in the house.
Yeah.
And and to see how they lived their daily life and made accommodations for it.
Hmm.
I would say there's an element of peace
Yeah.
of when the sun goes down, you start settling down.
Uh-huh. But here's the thing. I think their existence can be considered even more sad because of the fact that they're living a life without electricity
Hmm.
in a world that is electric.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they are almost suffering more because they're like
They're they're outside they can't
They're
keep up with the Joneses.
they're an effect of they're like yeah, they're an effect of a culture that they're not a part of,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost more sad,
Hmm.
than like if everyone did not have electricity, then we would like those outliers would not be so starkly contrasted to the majority.
Mm-hmm.
And I think systems would be in place to accommodate for the fact that there's no electricity. You know what I mean? Like there's no systems in place for that for them.
For them.
Yeah. Like there's no like they're just lacking and that's it, you know?
Yes, but they're also less fragile,
Yeah.
right?
Well, so I guess I'm going off the point that I thought you were trying to make.
Oh.
Which was that like they had kind of a sad existence.
Oh no, no,
Oh,
quite the
oh,
opposite.
oh, really? Okay.
Oh.
Because I do hear these stories of like people who are both poor, lacking in resources and sad, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I think there's a bit of an American myth
uh-huh.
that people go on mission trips and just I'm just going to say it this way.
Yeah.
People go for a week and they go and hang out with the brown people, and then they come back with their token story about how the
Yeah.
brown people are so happy compared to us white Americans.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's a trope, and I don't think it's true. And I think those people struggle with sin and the fallenness of the world like we do. I think a lot of those mission trips can be misleading in your vision of the world. But without getting too far down that rabbit hole, nonetheless, people who are comfortable living without comforts do have a resilience and a strength that you may not have in a world in which the environment is always maintained at a comfortable state.
Hmm.
So I think there are genuine goods that those people have. I don't know that a week I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too hard. I think mission trips are good.
Yeah.
Mission trips are good.
Yeah.
Just
Well, I think often they're like
just don't go down there so you can harvest photos for your Facebook,
exactly.
Insta,
Yeah.
TikTok, or or other social media.
Well, I think largely mission trips and like this day and age and like from people in the United States going on mission trips can benefit more than the people that they're serving from the the opening of their mind to the experience that they are having. Like, um, it's often like secretly for the people who are going on the mission trip.
Right. If you're docile to the experience.
Like
Hmm.
when you experience something like that that is so outside of the realm of experiences that you've had,
Hmm.
then you begin to reframe the way that you view the world,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know.
And I do remember that reframing happening to me when I was on my mission trip. I remember that just me having to come to grips with this change in my paradigm for how life was lived. I do remember those moments and quite distinctly. Um, but I no, my point about my friends who lived in a home without power. Uh, Part of this was who they were as people, but I think it was also expressed in the fact that they were the type of people who were willing to live in a home with no power, right? They didn't have a need for television. They didn't have a need for radio. They had a they had a docility to living in rhythm with the day
Hmm.
in a way that electricity allows us to live outside of the day's rhythms.
Yeah, yeah, no, that is a great point.
Yeah, it's just the way it
Yeah.
is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
You're right.
I think that's key to my statement too, that I think that we're better off without electricity. Is
Man, I'm gonna
is
have to
that
think about that one.
we don't live in accordance with the rhythms of the day. We don't experience reality as much as we should. You
Hmm.
know, when the power went out the other day, we lit a lantern. I've
Hmm.
got a Coleman lantern. We lit it in the house. We lit some candles. We cranked up the wood stove, cooked our food on the wood stove. And then, like, even though in the day, during the day prior to the electricity going out, I had been stressed out about many things that were going on. We had trips down in Utah with tires that kept blowing out on trailers and like all these pressing things. It was this like great relief to have the electricity out and be like, there's all this crazy stuff going on, but I can't really do anything about it. My phone's dead. I can't charge my phone.
There's no Wi-Fi.
I've got this lantern going. It's truly it's nighttime. Like even though I've got light in the house, it's definitely not day.
Hmm.
Time to start winding down. I
Hmm.
laid down on the couch. I was like, I'm just gonna lay down on the couch.
Hmm.
And I don't really lay down on the couch very much because I feel like I just need to continue to do more things
Yeah.
because I can, you know. And I was like, no, I think this is it. And I was like, man, this feels so right,
Yeah.
you know.
That's funny.
Like imagine back before electricity, you could get, even like post-industrial revolution before like common electricity, like you could go to work
Hmm.
and then come back home and like light a lantern and be like, cool, all right, we're just gonna eat some dinner and like read some books and go to bed. I don't need to do like I don't need to check my bank account on my app and like send that email or reply to the text that my family member sent me or
Mm.
whatever that's been hanging all over my head all day
Right.
or like whatever. Yeah. So and
Something to think about.
I really love um family and friends and being
Hmm.
able to talk with them. But I think that, um, man, like when you get a text, it's like somebody's just knocking on your door
Hmm.
and you got to put up with it until
Right.
you respond, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like it never used to be a burden that was hanging over people's heads. Like maybe you write a letter, like, and send it on a ship or horseback or on the train or whatever.
Mm.
And then and like you put more time into those letters, but the time that you put into those letters is still less than the time that you put into all of the text messages that you send over the course of a day, you know?
Uh, I I don't know if I would agree with you on the time spent.
Hmm.
I would probably try to support your idea by saying letter writing is more intentional, more artful, and more enjoyable than
Okay.
that.
All right. Oh, yeah.
I mean, a well-written letter can
You're
take some time.
right. Yeah. But I'd still rather write the letter in my mind, at least right now. I'm like, that sounds so much greater, you know?
Yeah, I can. I try to write letters every week, and I can assure you that, yeah, sometimes it becomes like, oh man, I got to try to get to letters, right? But to have a correspondence with someone, yeah, and to receive that physical mail, nice stationery, it's special. Yeah.
You ever heard the song Kill Kelly Ireland?
No.
Oh,
Should we use our electronic digital device to pull it
I'll
up?
just you guys listen to it later.
What?
Um,
Let me just type it in. So what's it called?
Kill Kelly Ireland.
Okay.
and it's this. You just made me think of it. It's like this
Oh, there it is.
Irish tune um, about the correspondence between family members that moved to America
Uh-huh.
and family members that stayed back in Ireland,
Wow.
and like how few letters were written, but how meaningful they were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When a stamp was
Oh,
a,
dude, that song will make you cry.
oh, geez.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I will have, yeah, if it's gonna make me cry, I better listen to it later.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. Ooh. How are we doing on time, Tom?
11:30.
Okay. Are you,
I might
is it
might have
time?
to tap
Are
out.
we, do we need to respond to the rhythms of the day?
Well, my I had to use the phone for the hotspot because the internet wasn't working,
Oh,
and it's almost dead.
okay.
All right,
All right. Well, there's our sign.
that might be
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's
Dude,
actually
this
pretty
was fun.
Yeah.
How have we not done this yet? This was a blast. This might be,
great.
I mean, we've had a lot of great conversations. This has definitely been one of the most fun. Just like letting it go anywhere, talking about whiskey, talking about electricity, the whiskey and electricity,
Electricity,
music.
chainsaws.
Yeah. Dude, great time. Thanks for so much for coming out and hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it again.
Yeah.
Cheers.